Time to pop the top off with Pub Talk. Today, we have a lot of college football talk to get to. We have the college football playoffs, LSU and Clemson for the national championship. We have a decade in review from 2010 to 2020 of college football. The NFL Week 17 is done and dusted. The regular season is over. It's playoff time. And then, of course, Hops of the Week to finish us all off. But before we begin, Pub Talk is always brought to you by Route 11 Chips. It's still football season. Weekends are all about college and NFL football. Just by sitting on the couch or throwing a huge party, you're going to need some chips, and Route 11 has got you covered. Since 1992, Route 11 has been chipping away to give its consumers a great and tasty product. So make sure you check out your local Martin's, Food Lion, and Giant to pick up a bag today. All right, lights, beer, action. Back to Pub Talk, brought to you by Route 11 Chips. We got two guests in the building tonight. As Coach said a couple weeks ago, the professor is back with us here today.
Yes, indeed.
BD's back.
School up. Yeah.
He held us at gunpoint the last time he was here, begging to be back on the show again.
Hell, I got to do it again.
That was good.
And then
I got
Clarence,
wrecked
another
that night.
reoccurring guest because he has been on the first episode.
Time out. Brian gets a cool name, the professor, and I get Clarence. That doesn't seem right.
You haven't given us a name. He
he provided his own nickname.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you call me the professor, he said.
All right, I got to work on that then. Okay.
Hey, you
Yeah,
snooze, you
that was
lose.
on him.
Yeah.
No doubt.
If I'm going to be on the radio, you look much taller on the radio.
And once again, like Clarence was on our very first episode,
Yeah,
but
man.
Coach wanted to, I think this is his third episode back on now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
let's start off quickly. I didn't say it in the intro, but All-Stars real quick because we got a lot of college football to
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, of course, I have to do the every Christmas pilgrimage to go see my in-laws in Ohio. And this time I was bringing something back. So brought back Maumee Bay Brewing Company breakfast stout. It's called Total Eclipse. It's 9.1 alcohol by volume, and it's been rated.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's been rated by Beer Advocate. It gave it a rate of like 96.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah, 4.4. Excuse me.
it's that good.
4.43. Yeah. I was trying to talk before it was fully down the pipe. 4.43 out of 5.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's got espresso bean and oatmeal. It's an oatmeal stout. I mean
Yeah.
it's really it goes down smooth.
So if you're
Yeah.
looking to get hammered and wake up at the same time, this
Yeah.
is the beer for you.
Yeah.
just
So, hey.
Yeah, breakfast for
That's
champions.
hair of the
right
dog
there.
that bit you in the morning. Little breakfast stout. Yeah. Oh, Clarence is drinking Line of Sight, one of my favorites, All-Stars Line of Sight Lager. It's made by Honor Brewing out in Colorado. They have a Virginia location, but it's not for. They don't have a tap house. It's just a distribution place.
Yeah, it's not like Port City, you bastards. You
Right?
don't have
Yeah.
your own
Yeah, I'm
brewery.
telling you what. If Line of Sight had a freaking tap house, Port City would. They would be challenged.
So
They
who
would
does
definitely be
the
challenged.
distribution for that then?
Honor Brewing does it. Honor Brewing. It's out of Colorado.
Denver.
It's just like a warehouse and distribution center.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
it is,
yeah.
though.
It did say they have a website and it said something about coming to a tap house, but we weren't sure when. It said 2019. Well, we're coming to the end of that real quick.
You know, you got like 24
Kind
hours.
of late to the party here.
They're- So, but a great beer, and yeah.
Okay,
So
well,
we're good.
a lot of college football to talk about.
Yes, we do.
The national championship is now set.
Uh-oh.
We have LSU versus Clemson. And, I mean, I picked it on the last show. I said it would be those two, LSU
Yes, you did.
and Clemson. The scores were not right, as usually they are. They aren't right. But we're going to talk about the two games. Number one, let's get the good one out of the way first, though. I want to talk about Ohio State versus Clemson because we all know what we're going to say for LSU and Oklahoma. But
Yeah.
Ohio State and Clemson, what'd you expect?
Yeah,
this
I
is the
saw
game.
two really good teams. One start out like a house of fire. Ohio State looked like world beaters. They did not play that way against Wisconsin. If they play that way against Wisconsin, they beat Wisconsin just like a rented mule, just like LSU destroyed
Just like
Oklahoma.
they did the first time. but not-
I just see that they look so dominating. They look so fast. They were just there to make plays. I expected a little bit more out of Clemson. It was like the proverbial, I got punched in the mouth and how do you respond? And it took them a while to respond. I don't know. You can go back and you can take a look at the replays. You can take a look at the one fumble. You can look at the situations. And you can sit back and you can say, hey, does one play define the game? You know, I don't want to think that way, but one play certainly had a huge impact on this game.
Oh, it certainly did, by no stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
I mean, you had one team that was riding that wave, and then all of a sudden you get the carpet pulled right out from underneath.
Man,
it.
they would just look so dynamic.
Yeah.
They just look so dynamic.
I was impressed by seeing how I'm just not used to seeing that from Clemson,
Right.
especially with Trevor Lawrence running like that.
Yeah, he
I
looked like
was
a man
not used to
possessed.
seeing that.
Yeah.
Well, and they kept, and the play-by-play guys kept saying, he's got to take over this team. He's got to
He is.
take it on his shoulders, carry that team.
Yeah.
And him running like that definitely did that.
Yeah.
Coach and I have
I
said
think-
that in the past 10 years, he is probably the best NFL draft prospect in the past 10 years, other than Andrew Luck.
Well, I don't know. The other guy from LSU looks pretty damn good too.
Yeah, I know that. But the one
in
thing
pure
we were
talent.
looking about is the intangibles. He's tall. He's 6'6".
Yeah.
He's got the perfect body style. He can run. He can make every throw on the field. He is a legitimate NFL prospect, and he could very well be, one of the best prospects in the last, at least the last 6 to 8 years. He's probably one of the best freaking overall prospects.
He matches up with Andrew Luck.
And
in
he's
my
still
mind.
young. You got to look at a kid. He's 20 years old.
He's a sophomore. He still has 2 years of eligibility.
25-0 as
Yeah.
a starter. He has not lost
Yeah.
one
I mean,
game.
and he's a gamer. He's a gamer. He's taken some shots, which is not good.
Ugh.
But he's still hung in there and he's done his job.
You want to talk about that though?
No,
I want to talk about that. The targeting call.
Yeah.
That was made on what was his first name? I
Sean
forget.
Wade.
Sean. I know his last name was Wade. I forget
Yeah,
the
Sean
first
Wade.
Honestly, here's the way I see it. Was there intent?
No.
I look
None
at the
whatsoever.
I look at the Oklahoma game, and I look at that targeting call, and I go, that's fucking intent. That guy had no business of wanting to go after Joe Burrow.
He
but
let
just
Joe
fuck
Burrow
that guy.
gain extra yards just so he could put a lick
Just
on that
so he
freaking
could-
running back.
Exactly.
And I was like, you know what? You deserve to get
You deserve to
ejected.
get your ass
But
kicked
that kid,
out.
Wade, there is no way. His momentum carried him in there. I mean, how are you're getting ready to play for what conceivably is an opportunity to play for the national championship?
And
You're
yeah.
riding a high, you come flying in there and you pop this guy. Okay, so I tipped my helmet a little bit, but the fact remains he's just playing on pure adrenaline at that point. He made a huge impact. He shook the
Trevor
shit out
Lawrence,
of
I
Trevor
literally
Lawrence.
was like, "Oh, this game is over now."
Yeah,
if
I
he
mean-
goes out.
Well, you got to talk about this also. That's a potential first-round draft pick, Sean Wade. So the impact, first of all,
First
the
or
intent-
second,
The
easy.
intent, the intent certainly was not there. And what these replay guys are supposed to look at is regular speed as well as slow motion.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when you watch that in slow motion, you can see Trevor Lawrence recognize it the last second, and he starts to recoil, like he starts to make himself.
He's
small.
ready to accept that impact.
Right,
yeah,
right.
You can see that.
And now, that all being said, the slow motion also shows that he, being Sean Wade, is leading with the crown of his helmet. So
Right.
it's a tough call. It sucks because my Buckeyes were dominating that game
Yes, they
thoroughly.
were.
Just couldn't quite punch
And
him
we
to the
talked
end
some
zone.
serious shit about you last week. So.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. Well,
You didn't listen anyway.
no, I haven't.
Go back and listen to the show. This is awesome. We ripped
So-
the shit out of you.
So they're dominating that game, and then
Yes.
that play call is the moment where you can start to see the tide turn. Clemson goes
Yeah.
down and scores. Etienne, by the way, is shut down completely by the Buckeye defense.
Right.
He ends up showing up more on the stat
Flustered.
sheet.
Really flustered.
Yeah,
kinda.
very frustrated. He showed up more on the stat sheet in his receiving game after this targeting
Do
call
you
than he did anywhere else
Do
in that
you
game.
think him being shut down was a result of being so geeked up, ready to make an impact, and that he just couldn't. He was pressing, he was trying too much, or just didn't get the touches he needed.
No, I think that when you look at Ohio State's defense and what they've done against some of the premier running backs in the league, I mean, Jonathan Taylor at Wisconsin shut him down twice.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Now granted he had a good first half in the Big Ten championship,
Yeah.
but
I
then
was
what
gonna say,
happened?
there you go.
But what happened in the second half?
Yeah, you're
It's all
right.
You know, I
about
think he
it.
rushed
It's
for like
all
8
about
yards.
adjustments. at
Yeah,
the
it
half.
is all about adjustments, and I think that the Buckeye defense had an idea of what to expect from that offensive line at Clemson, and they had an answer for it.
Yeah, they did.
They controlled the trenches. I mean, every facet of the game, but couldn't punch it in the red zone. I remember watching that, and
Multiple times.
you watch football long enough, you know that those red zone opportunities have to be touchdowns.
Yes.
Period. But
In games like that, absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
me though, like listening to all of the the praise for Trevor Lawrence, I mean the kid deserves a lot of credit. Don't get me wrong, but I think that this game was more about the mistakes and the lost opportunities
absolutely.
from Ohio State than it
Yes.
was about what
100%.
Clemson
100%.
did.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the targeting call that was the changing point. Who?
I think it
the fuck
was-
roughs the punter like that.
The roughing the punter,
The roughing the punter
from
penalty.
which is essentially at their own goal line, so you're going to
Yes.
have a short field.
And it's a
Yep.
personal foul.
And
It's
we
an
know,
automatic
and you know,
first
and
down.
that comes from the sideline. We talk about that all the time. And I'm from a high school perspective, but I watch this game. I've been watching this game for 30 years. I'm seriously watching the game for 30 years. And when you play the field position game, don't touch the punter. If you have a full-on block and you get to it and you're like, okay, well, I can live with that. But if you're playing the field position game, which a lot of coaches do, and that's when
Yeah,
you're talking about a
absolutely.
game like this, you're playing field position.
Small margin of error.
And you fucking
Yeah.
that grates on you as a coach, and it demoralizes your team. It
Yeah.
really zaps you. It really does.
You have a team
And
on
what
the
happens?
ropes, and you saw a momentum switch, and it's hanging in the balance, and then you let them off the hook, and you
Yeah,
extend that drive.
and that's the perfect analogy is letting them off the hook.
Okay.
You know,
Couple more points for this.
Well,
we got to talk about that replay.
Yeah.
I was literally going
one
into
thing
that, yeah.
to begin with, do you think Clemson went in there really stiff anyway? Because they've heard that talk all year. They've never been ranked number one. They went.
They
maybe sure. I mean, it could be.
And they had to go in, and they did not come out of the box. Right.
There, CJ and I talked about this, and we said, how could you not be ready? How could you not be ready for freaking Ohio State's A game? How could you? They freaking went out there and knocked the shit out of them. They
Yeah.
freaking set them back on their heels. They're lucky they didn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
Let's just say that the stinger that Trevor Lawrence gets isn't a stinger, and it freaking rocks his collarbone. Okay, so you eject the Wade kid, but your quarterback's sitting on the freaking sideline.
Yep.
With a broken collarbone or a fracture of the collarbone. Okay, now what?
Yeah.
You waited. You wanted to see what they were going to bring to you, and then you adjust. CJ and I
Yeah.
talked about that.
I don't think that it was Clemson getting caught off guard. I think that the better team, and again, I am biased, but I thought the better team showed up in the first half.
Yeah.
And then mistakes and missed opportunities. 2 dropped touchdowns from J.K. Dobbins, who actually catches the ball really well out of the backfield all year. He just declared for the NFL draft today. Probably, top 3 round draft pick anyway.
Top 10, easy.
Well, who knows with the devalued running back position, but those are plays that he made all season long. 40 touchdowns to 1 interception from Fields, and he throws 2 in this game. And a drop
last
third one.
one's not.
The last one, sure, and that's another one. A miscommunication on that post route, and it results in a game ender. When who knows if Olave actually finishes that route, maybe it's a touchdown, and maybe we're talking about Ohio State going against LSU, and the Burrow being a former Buckeye, and that whole
Ooh, that would have
storyline.
been a really good one.
Yeah, but I mean, we need to talk about that reverse fumble touchdown. Again, listening
Real
to that.
quick, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I disagree with Coach though what he said about how they weren't prepared
What the fuck are you talking about? How you disagree with me?
because fuck you.
Sorry,
No, I
sorry,
definitely
son. I
think
didn't mean that.
I definitely think that Clemson was prepared, but they made some mistakes. Hell, they dropped a pick 6 right at the beginning of the game. You put that on the board, you also miss a field goal, that's 10 points right there. They made a lot of mistakes that allowed Ohio State to get to
but
that
point.
that
comes from
but what
not
I'm saying
being
is
prepared.
that they didn't come out like, oh shit, this is actually a good team. No, they made some mistakes.
They didn't?
And right before the half, they scored 14 points. You add those 10 points, they're up at halftime. You add those 10 points, they're up at halftime. Also, Ohio State makes it more of a ball game if they could punch it into the end zone.
Yeah.
Because the only touchdown they got in the first half was like an 80-yard touchdown run by Dobbins. That was it. That's the closest they could get to
Dude,
the
he
end
was
zone.
launched out of a cannon. He freaking broke out.
Yeah.
And he's done that all year. though.
Oh, my
I
God.
don't know if
done
you
that
guys
all
caught
year.
it.
I've been talking about that kid since we started the season, and he just reminds me of a little smaller, compact version of Ezekiel Elliott.
Well, you know who he? Well, speaking of Zeke, he actually surpassed Zeke as well as
Yep.
Archie Griffin and Eddie George and all of these storied running backs in Ohio
Don't
State
you
history.
say that.
It's a single season rushing record. I mean, the kid is
2,000.
dynamic.
Oh,
There's no
he's
question.
legit.
3
He's
yards.
legit.
He reminds me a lot of Alvin Kamara. If you guys watch a lot of the Saints or Tennessee football,
Smaller, smaller
they're
version.
right around the same size.
I
You'd be
think when I
surprised.
say smaller, I'm talking body size.
No, they're-
When you look at the way Alvin Kamara is more of a leaner, longer limbed kind
maybe
of
a couple
guy.
pounds lighter.
I'm just saying more of a compact version of him. I love that Dobbins kid. I
Yeah.
think he's a phenomenal
Okay,
guy.
but yeah, the reverse fumble. There's no. I don't want to say there's no question, but like, what the fuck is a catch?
So
I don't
Right.
know any.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for years. I don't know what a catch is.
So
Nobody-
I refuse to be the guy that's like, hey, we need to have like all plays reviewed, but like I still like the
Drones.
public. Yeah,
We need multi-drones.
I still like the human element in the game.
Yes,
but
and I've been saying that
you know,
for
and
years.
that's what we're talking about right now. You know, we're talking about it, and it gives us something to talk about. And of course, it went against my team this particular time, but pivotal. I just felt like everything rolled Clemson's way, and hopefully for Clemson, they can.
They're
you know,
gonna get their ass whooped.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
They're gonna get beat by 3 touchdowns.
Go Tigers.
Go Tiger.
Go Tigers.
LSU is gonna
question is, which
LSU is gonna
Tigers?
beat them by 3
The
touchdowns.
playoffs
I think you
is
might be right.
never
Playoffs?
about style.
It is
It
not.
is about survival.
It's about getting
and I don't
punched in
care.
the mouth and grabbed
Oklahoma
by-
sucks. They should. Clemson could have beat them like that.
That's why, as a Buckeyes fan, I was really clamoring for the number 1 seed, and we had that bad half against Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship, cost us the number 1 seed, and the reason was because I didn't want to be the number 1 team in the nation.
CJ,
I wanted Oklahoma in the first round.
I tell you what, the
Spit it out.
Yeah, let
what
me
the
spit.
fuck?
Yeah.
Today,
the
Junior.
playoffs, the television revenue, they wanted that 2-3 matchup.
Yeah,
They wanted that.
It's probably going to be the best
And it was prime
of the 3
time.
games.
Yeah,
it's
it
going
was-
to be the best of the 3 games.
That's
You
why
better hope so.
They put it together like
You better hope so.
No, I actually hope that this championship is going to be decent, but I think you guys are right. I think it's going to be multiple score game. I don't think that it's going to be within 7 points. I don't see how that's going to happen. I mean, I just watched Clemson get very fortunate, and I watched that LSU team, 7 freaking touchdowns.
4 in the first quarter.
That's insane. That's like video game stuff right there on rookie mode.
Yeah. He threw for almost 500 yards. College football freaking championship semifinal. He throws for 493.
Under Les Miles, that's 4
Are you
games.
shitting me?
yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, but the
Trubisky couldn't do that either. Come on, Cam Newton. We're
the
gonna need the
reverse
Bears.
fumble-
Bears need Cam Newton right now.
I'm more shocked that it
Shit,
was,
I'll take Eli Manning before I take
Are
fucking
you sure
True.
about that?
Yes, I would. He's got 2 Super Bowls.
That's awful.
He's got 2 rings. Mitch ain't got shit.
Mitchell's awful.
Okay.
He's got a freaking Amish freaking beard and
And always going to
A
be
shitty
compared to
arm.
Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, by the way. The Bears passed up those 2
how about
for Mitchell
he
Trubisky.
counted to 10. We talked about that on last show. He counted to 10 after he beat their ass.
Let's get to the other game. Then.
Yeah.
Clemson beats Ohio State, but yeah, I was right. Like Oklahoma, this fucking college football playoff sucked.
That
It
takes us
really
into
did.
number
Other
2,
than the
but-
second game, like who they got in here on circumstances. They
Yeah.
didn't get here because they were the best team. I would have taken Oregon. I would have put Oregon in or Wisconsin,
Baylor.
or at least Wisconsin. Who in the hell thought that this team had a chance other than Oklahoma fans? We have a top 25 defense. Bullshit. Bullshit.
If you watch them squeak
You
by,
have a top 100.
They-
That's it.
you're going
they-
to watch them squeak by Baylor twice, and you watch Baylor and the rest of their, the rest of their season see like 0 offense, and you're like, wait a second, like this defense is not what it's built
They
up
had a
to be.
third string quarterback in that game, too.
Right, and you lost to Kansas State.
He was a freshman.
Yes.
Baylor had a
Yeah.
freshman.
I
and
thought
a
there were many
true
other
freshman
teams.
quarterback.
There were many. I was so actually I was kind of rooting for Utah.
Yes.
As a college football fan.
So was I.
The
You know,
Utes?
Yeah, and then the Utes. You talking about the two
Lost.
Utes?
The 2 Utes.
Then they yucked it up and
And
Yes,
they
they
lost
did.
to Oregon, which still
They
comes
screwed
back
the
to me.
Ute.
Oregon if Oregon didn't lose to Auburn in the first week and then Arizona State,
Yep.
Arizona fucking State,
Hey,
they would have been in.
That's Herm Edwards.
I
You know,
know.
Joe
I know.
Pisarcik fumble.
The Sun Devils started off pretty hot. I don't know if
you
y'all remember
play
that.
to win the game.
Yeah, I cannot believe this was a college. This was the fourth best team that you could possibly
You want another
put
one?
on the field.
All right.
By all accounts, all the fat lards who sit around the table and go, "Let's
we
put
should hit the
Oklahoma
bartender."
in the playoff," just like we're sitting around here. Just like we're sitting around here. This was the best. This was the
I
fourth
agree.
best team that you could put. It's under circumstances. Well, they beat Baylor, the Big 12 champion. The AAC is better than the Big 12 in bowl games right now.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not
Is that
saying
true? Is that right?
Yes, the
wow.
Big 12 is 0-3 right now in bowl games. Okay? And not only just that, I'm tired of Oklahoma in the playoff. I'm tired of them. They have given up 37 to Clemson. They have given up 54 to Georgia. They have given up 45 to Alabama. They have now given up 63. I'm sensing a little bit of a pattern here
Well,
when
but-
it comes to this team.
But they did not want to put in more than one SEC team. You got Georgia at 5.
None of us are asking.
Yeah.
We're asking for a Pac-12
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
I know the last one was Washington when they got in and they stunk it up. But at least give me something different than a 63-28 victory for
Well,
LSU.
and like we've said before, that brings us down to the next thing. There's got to be a better format out there than what they're doing now. There's got to be.
I don't know. And this is always a great talking point because, that's we're so disenchanted when we see an outcome like the Oklahoma LSU game. But I don't know. I mean, is there a clear number 4 that would have been in favor? I mean, like in hindsight, of course, we're like, oh, maybe this team would have done better, or maybe this team.
You're right.
But
there wasn't a
I don't
clear.
know if
Well,
there was
yeah,
clear-
you're right.
Should
it
have just
wasn't.
been a top 3 and let LSU go to the championship then, I guess.
Give them a first round bye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Just an automatic qualifier into the championship.
Yeah.
But, I'm not – okay, we'll talk a little bit more about Oklahoma, but LSU, Coach O, he's Coach of the Year for –
Go Tigers. Go
He's
Tigers.
the Coach of the Year, no question.
He
about it.
cried at the Heisman, man. You got to like that guy.
Oh, man.
And
He's like, he's an extra on Swamp People, right?
yeah, and he's got a couple players who are playing for the Bills.
Go Tigers.
So
Go
now the
Tigers. Give me
Bills are
some
going to win
gators.
by 90 points.
I'm going to get some gator meat.
And I want to say that Joe Burrow is probably the best. He's putting up the best season for a college football quarterback ever. The offense is probably the best offense in college football history. It's not the best team because that was Clemson last year. That team was.
as I thought.
I don't know best ever
It's not
statistically,
bad.
but
I'll
certainly when
get
you
some.
consider their schedule, it's pretty
Yes,
damn impressive.
that's
you know,
what-
this isn't
that's
the
what I
old,
was saying.
Houston. Remember that run and shoot kind of thing that they ran in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Klingler and what's the coach over
David
at Arizona
Klingler.
right now? Some of these guys, yeah. But to look at LSU's schedule and see
Yeah.
what this guy has done against,
They're going to finish it off against Clemson.
yeah.
Okay.
Now,
let's,
I do wanna
want to
bring this
go
up.
around this. I want to go around the horn because before I forget.
Yeah.
And we're gonna I'm gonna put it on this week's sheet.
You're gonna
I
ask for
want your predictions.
predictions.
I want your prediction. So, Professor, you go first.
I'm going to say LSU 49, Clemson 42.
49,
I think it'll be up and down the field all night.
42. Clarence.
42-17, Clemson. Just kidding. LSU.
LSU
Yeah.
versus Clemson.
Just try to be different there for a second.
What'd you say your score is?
42-17.
42-17. CJ. LSU.
I am saying 35-31 Clemson.
35.
Ooh.
What?
Picking Clemson.
I can't go against them. No matter what happens, they are still the Kings.
35-31.
And they are going back to the game again. The game where,
Yeah,
guess what?
yeah.
Most of those players on that Clemson team have played in big-time games.
That's true.
LSU doesn't have anybody.
true.
I get that Joe Burrow is putting up numbers, but Clemson is the Kings. They are
All right.
the team
Well,
to beat.
Yeah, well,
It is
I
not
can,
LSU.
I can take that cerebrally.
That's why it's my
But at
opinion
the
for
same
that.
time, they're going back. They're playing in Louisiana that game. That's like
True that.
backyard right there.
Oh, Florida just freaking housed the ball right there. Housed
40 seconds into the
40
game.
seconds into the game, they just freaking trashed because freaking threw a touchdown pass.
Watch out for Florida next year if
Yeah.
they get a good quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think we need to go back to what the professor was saying. That's a home game for LSU.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm picking
I mean,
It's a
LSU.
home game for Ohio State, I felt, at that game.
There's in Tempe.
I'm just saying.
This is
there
literally
was
an
more
LSU's
Scarlet
back-
Red in that stadium than there was.
The
in
Buckeyes
Orange.
travel well. I mean,
Well, you're
I
out.
don't
I'm
begrudge
not,
You
it.
did.
that's what I'm saying. It's like
I mean,
talking
it
to a
was so
Steelers
easy
boy.
to drive across the Ohio Turnpike this weekend because nobody was in the state. They were all in Arizona.
No doubt.
And the
yeah.
rest of them were stuck in their houses. You could have robbed a fucking bank in any one of them places that freaking gone away scot clean.
We'll get them tomorrow.
And I'm telling you, Ohio State is not going to be playing. Sorry, Clarence. I didn't mean that.
As everyone laughs.
LSU. I'm not thinking Ohio State.
don't punch the monitor.
Not Tom.
man.
Not Tom. We have a guest, by the way, on our show today. A good friend of ours, Tom Byer. He's here. Chicago boy, Chicago Bears. Goddamn right. Goddamn right.
Yeah, and he's a member of the mafia.
Yeah,
you know.
and he is mafioso, so we don't say anything bad about Tom because you'll disappear. Tom paints houses, if you know what I mean.
I'm gonna give you an offer. You
Hey,
never
I'm gonna
refuse.
come by and we'll break your fucking legs, huh? What do you say, huh?
He paints
Son-
houses and does
son didn't
carpentry
look
work.
like
Yes,
Cross.
and carpentry work. Yes, he does. I'm taking LSU. I'm taking them by 2 touchdowns. I think LSU, or 3 touchdowns. I'm thinking LSU wins 35-14. That's my pick. And I've said this all year, and CJ and I have gone over and over, and you don't even know, the people that listen to the show don't even know how many times we bitch at each other on freaking car rides and family trips about who should be ranked number 1. And I have lobbied all year that Clemson, of all teams, they're riding by the end of the season, they were 24-0.
Yep.
Or 28-0. 28-0. Trevor Lawrence had only played in 24 of them.
Yeah.
He's 24-0, now 25-0. And my whole thing is they were the best college team in all of football in the history of the game last year. Their domination of everybody, including Alabama in the national championship, was nothing short of amazing. And so my whole thing was coming into this year, I don't give a shit about their schedule. Their schedule is their schedule. It was made up years ago. And so until you dethrone the
because of that
king,
North Carolina game, man, I'm
until
telling
you dethrone the king, they should be number 1. Period. And I
Could
think
you talk into the mic?
I wasn't in the mic.
You were over here.
Well,
so
I was
just-
trying to be. I'm sorry, I didn't.
I get my head on a swivel.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't want to take freaking targeting. I don't want to take that. I keep my head on my swivel. Clarence could be targeting me. Freaking
Yeah.
put a beer in my face, and I wasn't gonna drink it. Shit. So my whole thing is, I thought that they deserve to be number 1 until somebody dethroned them.
Yes.
And so far, nobody has. And so rightfully, I think they should have been number 1. But I think LSU is just, to me, a bigger, faster, stronger football team. They're just
I
power
agree.
packed.
I agree.
And I've watched Joe
I
Burrow.
thought
I've
that
watched
about
Joe
Ohio
Burrow.
State.
I watched Joe Burrow for the last 3 games.
did.
And I'll tell you what, as good as he is, I don't know if they're in a little bit of luck in there because he has put some balls that have been put up, and his receivers make plays.
Who?
Joe Burrow.
Oh, okay. I was
Can we
like,
talk about him
Trevor?
for a second? Just
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we need a little perspective with him. Understand that he is older than every other senior in the league because
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
a red
Yep.
shirt senior
Yep.
who got beat out by Dwayne Haskins, who was at that time.
Who's that?
You-
Leg
Just a guy-
done messed up.
just a guy. League done messed up.
We just had
just
to.
a guy that threw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns in the Big Ten. I mean, that's all. That's all.
Cool.
So he got beat out by him. And
How many did he
I
throw
just
this
think-
year?
I just wonder how many. Like even your own Mitch Trubisky, had he been a red shirt,
Mitch who?
a red shirt senior. What kind of numbers
Mitch
would he have put up?
Lipinski.
So I'm curious because more than likely the Bengals are going to tab Joe Burrow. You know,
I
he's an
think
Ohio
so.
kid. You know, it makes a lot of
think
sense.
so.
It's going to be curious because he's going to go to a team that is bereft of talent. They're going to lose AJ Green, and it's like
That's my
okay,
favorite line is that CJ and I have already talked about this. TJ and I talk about this shit all the time. You're going to take a kid and you're going to drop him into a system that is
system. It's a system bereft of talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
My
you're going to
God.
lose AJ Green, so you're looking at Joe Mixon in the backfield and Tyler Boyd out on the end,
Ty
and
Boyd's
an
a
offensive
good
line
freaking
that's
receiver.
terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and you're going to
Yeah.
say, hey, go do what you did at LSU, and I just think that people need to temper their expectations. He looks amazing, but again, he's 25. You know, and he's
Right.
doing this against other kids who are 20 and 21. how much difference does that that experience give you? And he ultimately, the reason he's in LSU is
Tyler
because he got
Winke.
beat out. He got beat out. He got beat out for the job at another school.
Yeah.
3 of the 4 quarterbacks that were in there this year in the college football playoff got beat out in their positions. And now I do feel guilty saying that because Justin Fields' situation was a little bit, there were some
He
extenuating
was just
circumstances.
at a bad. I have talked so much shit on Georgia about how
Yeah.
Kirby Smart. How could you let a
Stupid.
guy like Justin
Well,
Fields go?
and of course, in case you guys don't know, I don't know because you understand that there were some racial epithets that were thrown from the baseball team at Justin Fields while
I
he was on
didn't
the
know
sideline.
that.
Spring game. So that's what
I didn't
really
know
he
that.
applied for a hardship waiver. And the story is he was on the sideline in the spring game, and the first baseman for the baseball team was in the stands.
He
and
lost
was-
his scholarship. That
He
kid was
did
freaking
kicked off the team. But that coupled with the fact that Justin Fields didn't win the
remember
starting
that.
job, he applied for a hardship waiver, and that's why he's in Columbus today. So it's curious, like when we talk about the best prospects.
What's
and
Kirby
how-
Smart doing?
Where is Kirby Smart? I don't know.
Yeah, what's he doing?
He's on a golf cart on the golf course.
He's probably
They're not even getting ready.
He's gotta be like,
he's
holy
lying
shit.
to recruits, telling
I chose
shit
David
in
Fromm.
somebody's living room.
I chose Fromm over
I
this
chose Jake
It's-
Fromm over the number
Jake
one
Fromm,
recruit
sorry, I
in the
said David
country.
Jake Fromm is a good quarterback.
college quarterback.
Yes, he's a good college
So
quarterback.
last thing on this game because we have some more to talk about. Look, I get it. Joe Burrow is the Heisman winner this
The
year.
guy
He
this
has-
year.
He has broken everything. The fact that Trevor Lawrence didn't even get invited to the Heisman Trophy.
He finished 7th.
He finished. This motherfucker has not lost a game. He hasn't lost a game. He's won a national championship.
ACC
and
is
he
terrible.
and he drubbed Alabama. It wasn't
Yeah, he
even
did.
close.
He
And
did.
he also drubbed Notre Dame. We don't
That was
speak
last
highly
year.
of them, but they still drubbed them.
That was last year.
Notre Dame finished 11-2
Yeah.
this year.
And still to this day, he hasn't lost a game.
Yes.
And he finishes 7th. He finished you're going up against. It's the
Travis
Heisman.
Etienne.
His
Travis-
stats
what is
didn't
it?
reflect his schedule. And I know that he didn't play all the way through, but when you
And
look
I
at his
understand
stats,
that.
I mean, you can't compare his stats to Joe Burrow's stats.
But what are you going to say next year? What if he wins this game, goes to another one, and wins that? Doesn't get.
Obviously, he'll be
will
the Heisman-
finish his college career 30. No.
Well, he's got another year.
Yeah, he
He's got
has
at least
to.
two.
He has to play another one.
Right. He's got
He's
another-
Minimum of one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
minimum
So
one,
he'll-
but he's
what
got
if
at
he
least
doesn't
He'll be
two.
lose
rolling in there
then?
26-0, right? He'll be rolling into his last year 26-0.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's 25-0 right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the weight of the world's going to be on his shoulders, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But he looks good.
Think he'll
Sunshine.
get a haircut?
I don't know. I like it.
Did you see that stat during the game where those kids grew up like 25 miles apart from
Yeah,
each
Who's
other?
that?
Yeah,
Trevor
but they
Lawrence
did,
and
yeah.
who?
They weren't
Fields
friends or
and-
Justin
anything,
Fields.
Oh,
and-
really? I
And
didn't
Lawrence
see
are
that.
both from
Trevor
northern Georgia,
They
about
were
25
20
miles
Could you
apart.
imagine
20,
that?
25
Oh, wow.
miles.
And
And
what
they,
those
they
high school
played in
games look
different
like.
they played in different divisions too.
So they ran into each other at a
And
camp
Trevor Lawrence
once.
was Mr.
Georgia,
Yeah.
Gatorade Player of the Year, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And
Yeah, you
Justin
can see it.
Fields.
He's very good. I'm sure both guys top of the first round draft picks. So
yeah.
Well, that
Justin
it
Fields.
does say an awful lot about how college football is changing now with this whole transfer thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Justin
you're
Fields
riding
is-
a pine somewhere, and you're a recruit that's up there 4 or 5 star, and you're not
Yeah.
playing. Boom! Now that you're going to see
know-
more transfer than
Yep.
you've ever seen before. Now,
And I'm fine with that, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
And there was a game that happened before the college football playoff. It was between Miami and Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a stat that was posted after the game that showed all the 4 and 5 star recruits that went to each team. Miami had 43 4 and 5 star recruits. Louisiana Tech had 1. And Louisiana Tech kicked
Shut
the
them out.
shit out of Miami.
Miami was so bad, but I think that's a reflection of their
Coaching.
coach.
Yes.
Because, and this is just me, and it's just mine, but Manny Diaz came in at the worst time
Yeah.
at Miami. He was going to take the job at where was he at? Was it Rutgers?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's Rutgers. He's going to take the job at Rutgers, and then at the last minute, or is it Temple? Or, anyway, he decides he's going to freaking leave there, and he's going to go to Miami. And he gets down there, and none of those guys are his recruits.
Yep.
And so and once again, CJ and I have talked about this. You have a coach who's a used car salesman. I call them all used car salesmen because they will come to your house and they will sit in your living room and they'll tell you everything under the sun to get you to come and play for their university. But as soon as a better job comes along,
Right.
those motherfuckers will just jump ship and they'll go somewhere else.
Which is why I don't begrudge a kid for doing the
Right,
same.
and that's
Yeah.
why.
Oh, Virginia's
and
Virginia
Lord.
just scored
Oh, what?
off of
Whoa,
an
whoa,
off an
what?
interception.
Little
Yeah.
pick six.
No, they intercepted and then one play went deep.
Nice.
All right, let's
All
get
right,
on.
UVA.
Let's get on to the next segment. It is 2
Wahoo
days
wah.
away
Wahoo
from.
wah.
It is 2 days away from
New
January
Year.
1st, 2020, and for the past 10 years of college football, it has changed drastically. Everything ranging from the college football playoff being introduced to some of the greatest players in college football history going away,
Sample a little more.
to some of the worst controversies that you thought would never be humanly possible to grace such a good of a sport as college football.
Yeah.
And the past 10 years have they have really shocked the world with some of the greatest teams, as we've said. Clemson
Yeah.
is the greatest team to ever be fielded for-
Overall.
and now it's going to be all done. Only one more game left for the season, but we're going to talk about the past 10 years, not the whole 10 years. That's a
last
lot of
decade.
the last decade. And let's start off with the college football playoff being introduced. Back in 2013, the BCS era has ended for college football.
That bullshit computer.
And I was glad that it did because the BCS National Championship was a crock of
We need
shit,
to.
honestly, in its later years. Because not only was the teams matched up, sometimes not the best national championship.
Right. Notre Dame ended up in there in a couple of shit shows.
The last one ever. And I think, honestly, I don't want to say that it was, because of that, but it probably made the process go a little bit faster because of what Notre Dame did against Alabama. And Notre Dame crapped the bed against it. That was the last ever national the last ever one was Florida State versus Auburn in that amazing game between Jameis Winston, who has thrown 30 interceptions now in the NFL.
He's a 30 for 30 guy.
Yeah, he's a 30 for 30 guy.
The crab leg special. 30
And-
touchdowns, 30 interceptions, 30 crab legs, 30 pounds of whatever. But I'm going to be the best.
And
If I get rid of my mistakes, I'm going to be the best.
the college football
Did you
playoff
see him
is
on
better.
ESPN?
The college football playoff is better, but it's not where it should be right now.
I know.
It needs to continue because clearly this year is an indication that it needs to fucking change.
Right. Well, you and I have gone over this 1,000 times, over and over again. How do you make it better? How do you get this computer and this selection committee to get
Well-
over schedules and all this garbage?
My number one thing is get rid of the conference championship bullshit. Get rid of the conference championships because just because Utah did not win their conference championship
Did it warrant them not
exactly.
being ready to play?
But because Oklahoma beat Baylor in overtime by 3, that warrants them. to
they were
be
playing
the
the
number
record.
14?
Yeah, right.
That warrants them.
You and I have both discussed the fact that the FCS has a great system for determining who plays in a national championship game. You win it and you're in it. You win and you stay in, and that's a great thing. And there's no conference championships. There's no wild cards. There's none of that horse shit. You earn your way into a playoff. The only thing I can say is that the NC Crooked A will never allow that to happen because there's too much money to be made in these bowl game matchups and stuff like that.
Well, definitely.
And was it you? I think it was actually the professor and I were actually talking about this. If high school teams and high school leagues would do the same thing as colleges and create a bowl game, a bowl system for teams, you have teams that are going to continue on to play for the VHSL state championship, and those are all great. But you have a whole another tier of teams that could play for something. Some money that kicks back to their program to get them things that they need. I don't know of a high school team that doesn't need another piece of equipment for their practice field. I don't know what it is, whether it's new footballs, whether it's a new sled, or whether you want this or whether you want that. There's a whole new a whole new horizon of things that can be gotten out there. Whereas when you're talking about the NCAA, those son of bitches. They seem to they seem to make decisions based on money.
It's a racket.
It is. It's a hell of a racket, and they're getting a racket at the expense of these players
Hey,
and these teams.
Did you want to fly your girlfriend out for a game? Fuck you. You have to pay us back. All right.
You're going to sit 2 games.
You're going to sit 2
games.
Yeah. Or the kid from Memphis where he just freaking took
He's
a loan
like-
from a family and then paid a son of a bitch back. Now he had to clear for the freaking NBA draft.
Because he's
he had
like,
to get
"Fuck
an agent.
this. I'm not
yeah,
doing
I'm not
this.
dealing with
I'm
this
not
garbage.
dealing with this."
Penny Hardaway actually factors into that a little bit more, though.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's the whole gist of the story. Though,
No doubt, no
basically.
doubt.
Kevin Garnett. I love that little penny.
Little Penny.
Let's. But it does need
was that
to
Chris
still
Rock?
change.
Was that
Probably. Yeah.
Did you see the Eddie Murphy's Mr. Rogers Neighborhood? That was hilarious.
Yes, Mr. Robinson's.
Mr. Robinson?
Yeah, Mr. What do you mean I took your TV? That was
There's
great.
a big TV.
It is
Yeah.
it needs to get better,
it needs
though.
to be a revamping. I really do, and it can't be about money, and it has to be about ownership and earning it.
Sure.
Because that's what the professional levels are doing, and they're all paid for that, and they're all doing that. As far you can get into paying these players and all that stuff. Okay, all right. Figure out a way to do it. Just stop with this nonsense and stop putting a computer or some panel of freaking 10 eggheads.
I might get too abstract right here, but John and I
Abstract.
teach together. Yeah, maybe this is a little too much.
I don't
and the
teach, I
professor's here
coach,
too,
remember?
so maybe I can get reined in with what I'm trying to do here with my analogy. But I feel like this is almost like the progressive era kind of thing with these robber barons. Like the NCAA represents this entity that just gets rich off of the labor
JP
of these
Morgan,
people who
motherfuckers.
have no rights, and if they misstep a little bit, then they can be
You
kicked
get-
out
you get-
completely.
you get
Your
hammered.
eligibility is gone, done. Like all the way back to Des Bryant taking a dinner at Deion Sanders' house, and he loses his NCAA eligibility. Something's not quite right there, and especially when you consider it's $1 billion industry. And
What
and
if he
it's
was
built
just
on the back.
hungry?
I
Right,
know.
right.
I don't
Should have
understand.
eaten seafood.
Right.
Shit, Jameis Winston had crab legs.
Right.
Son of a bitch stole crab legs.
Well, why did he have to steal those crab legs?
I know,
he's
Ray
a
Lewis
premier
killed
player.
a man. It
Whoa,
wasn't the NCAA.
hey, hey,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Allegedly.
I'm sorry.
I thought he was just there. I
think
didn't
he
know
just
Ray
saw it.
actually
I don't know.
I thought so.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think Ray killed
Yeah,
anybody.
I get
He's
your
a Hall of
point.
Famer.
I
I like
work
Ray.
for the NCAA. I don't work for the NCAA, but I need to know the regulations and everything that goes into that.
all the rules, yeah.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
100%. But I think you also have to look at the college football playoff and like the number one team is not guaranteed the national championship every single. It happened in the first one. Ohio State plays Alabama. Oh, it's the
As a number 4
dynasty
seed.
of Alabama. Woo! Here comes Alabama. Ohio State, you don't have a chance. You got Cardale Jones. Fuck him. He ain't going to do anything. Yeehaw. And guess what? They torch him. Ezekiel Elliott goes off, and then guess what? They win the national championship against Oregon
That's the 4 seed.
as the
Yeah,
4
as
seed.
the
That's
4 seed.
crazy. And then you have the rise of Clemson. You got Deshaun Watson coming
Yeah.
into the picture.
Yep.
Leads Clemson to 2 straight national championships, losing in the first one in a great game against Alabama.
Huge game.
And in the second one, even better on the last play of the game, throws
Yeah.
a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And then you
Hunter
have
Renfro.
Yeah, Hunter Renfro, who's
Oh, that's what it went to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where's he? He's in Oakland.
Oakland,
isn't he?
yeah.
No, Vegas.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Next year.
And then after Watson left, you had Kelly Bryant come in, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't the same Clemson, unfortunately. So you had Alabama come back into the picture, and then you had Trevor Lawrence come in, and the rest is history right now
Yeah,
for
they
Clemson
spanked
and
them.
I don't
Alabama.
know. Call me a Clemson hater, but soft regular season schedule. Everyone's healthy in the playoffs. Just saying.
Did you just dap?
Hey, hey, they're not all banned for a substance that's not known just yet. They're not. They're not all banned just yet. But let's go ahead and get into the decade, though.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Decade
some-
in review.
Let's talk about some of the great players, honestly.
Players. I'm
that
going to
we've
tell you
had.
one right now, and I'm not a fan, and I'm not doing this because of Clarence, but Ezekiel Elliott was a hell of a college fucking football player.
Yeah.
The Bosa brothers.
Yes,
Holy
definitely.
shit. Great.
More so
freaking players.
Joey than I feel Nick, though. I
Nick's
feel like I
actually-
saw more of Joey than I did Nick, though.
Yeah, Joey will tell you over and over again that Nick is the better prospect, and you're watching him tearing it up right now for the Niners.
It sucks that Joey's on the wrong team. It's like-
Yeah.
Well, you have to think about
Playing
all 3
for
Watt
Phillip.
boys to come out of
Yeah, the
Wisconsin.
Watts.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean-
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, JJ's been hurt, but I tell you what, TJ looks good.
He's going to play in that freaking. I guarantee you, J.J. Watt is going to freaking play
Playing the
that.
national championship?
No, he's
Oh.
going to play in that freaking playoff game. I read
Oh,
an
yeah.
article. I
Yep.
read an article that said that he is freaking a month ahead of schedule in strengthening his torn pec, and he's going to try. He's going to wait and see how practice goes, and if he can make an impact, he'll play select plays.
Yep.
Those
Yeah.
Watt guys were phenomenal.
If we're staying in
guys.
the NFL theme, can I throw out my man? This is personal. I'm going to get nerdy on you because I'm a big fantasy football player. I'm 3-time champion in my big league. Patrick fucking Mahomes. Can I just say? Have
Is
you
he
seen-
your Mahomie?
Did you see the little kid wearing the Patrick fucking Mahomes T-shirt? Like, it literally, and he made like national news with this. He was kind of in the backdrop. I'm like, yes, Patrick Mahomes revolutionizing what's happening at the quarterback position. Maybe I mean with these
Mahomie.
not like these the no
Don't
look
say
throws.
that too loud because the Bears could have picked him at 10 and they passed him up.
No, sorry.
They
You're
went
right.
with Mitchell
I think-
Trubisky.
Yeah.
I think
Son
one of the best
bitches.
games ever was that Oklahoma versus Texas Tech game.
Oh my God! This is like 1,000 yards, like passing. It
Threw
was
like
insane.
7 touchdowns each.
Yes.
it
It's incredible.
It was lighting it up, and of course another. I may hate him. I may really hate him, but Baker Mayfield's a great college football player. You can't.
Yeah,
you can't
yeah,
deny
he
that.
was a good
He was a
football player.
walk-on at Texas Tech.
All right.
Transfers to Oklahoma, and
I'm going to throw one out there who transitioned to, and he came from a school that isn't all highly on their running backs. They've had
Transition.
some really guys transition to the NFL.
Oh, I thought
Sorry,
you
not
were going in.
transition from Hi Daddy.
Yeah.
Not that transition.
I thought you
Not
were
that
talking
transition.
runner. What's his name? Kardashian.
No,
not-
Bruce Jenner.
Bruce Jenner. Yeah.
He
Oh,
was
you
a
mean Caitlyn.
I
decathlete.
didn't know where you were going with the
Caitlyn
transition
Jenner.
there.
You know what? I got to go with my man Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
That son of a he's a hell of a football player.
Yeah, no doubt.
He broke off a 68-yard run, and he freaking got to the linebacker level and threw up
So-
two fingers like, peace out, I'm out,
Yeah.
I'm out, I'm scored.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing you can do about it.
yeah, Penn State, and it's continuing though that you see the trend of running backs. It went to Miles Sanders, who is clearly showing he has what it takes. In the
Yeah,
NFL.
yeah,
You have
yeah.
Journey Brown now, who
Yeah,
is
Journey
rushed
Brown.
202 yards against Memphis. Again in the bowl game,
Gashed.
And it gashed him exactly. So you're right, but Saquon Barkley,
He's
having his
phenomenal.
arms
I love that
flailing
guy.
in the air.
I
and
love
running.
that kid, man. I'm not. You know how I feel about your mother went to Penn State, but you know how I feel about them and their running backs. But Saquon Barkley he's phenomenal. I love that guy. He's just a great kid. Does everything that you're supposed to do, and has had a great rookie season. He should be the NFL Rookie of the Year.
To start all the way back in 2010, Cam Newton. I think that Cam Newton had a
Come
hell
to
of
the
a
Bears
season
game.
for
We
Auburn,
want you.
and he led his team to a national championship. He has only played 1 year in college football at the Division I level for Auburn. He beats Alabama. who
He
at
won the
time-
freaking junior college national championship. He knows what it's all about winning.
Okay.
Come to the NFL and win a championship there.
Yeah, well, he didn't. So he got his ass
talking
roasted
about
by
the
Bron-
Bears.
Oh, sorry.
So who do you think's the best college receiver to come out in the last 10 years?
Julio Jones.
That's who I was
Julio
thinking about.
Jones. There's
Julio.
no question.
I
Fuck
mean,
Odell
he
Beckham.
he is the man, and he's stuck in Atlanta. And now they give him a nice big contract. But can you imagine him playing for anybody out on the West Coast right now?
Sure.
Could you see him playing with
San Francisco.
or Seattle?
Yeah. Oh shit. Put him in New Orleans and have
Yeah.
Drew Brees throw at his ass.
Yeah.
Another,
Wow, be
Yeah.
devastating. You can't argue Julio Jones at all.
Yeah.
You just
I think
can't.
he's the quintessential.
Yeah, no
Big
argument
time.
here.
Yeah.
How about Aaron Donald out of Pitt?
Man. It's a different kind of football player, isn't it?
He's a whole different animal. He's not a big guy, and if you don't double team him, he's wrecking your offense. He's just wrecking your offense. That was one of my guys. I even threw out freaking. We talked about Deshaun Watson earlier, but Jameis Winston in college. Jameis Winston was a hell of a college football player. He's a 30 for 30 guy in the NFL, which is pretty special. But he was a hell of a freaking college football player. He really was.
Yeah.
Won national championship. Jimbo Fisher, great Florida State freaking quarterback. I like it, and I already freaking touted Zeke. I thought he was phenomenal in college, and that's why I always I think when you look at running backs, from Archie Griffin to Eddie George to those great freaking Ohio State guys, J.K. Dobbins, Zeke Elliott. Those are freaking long-lasting guys, man. They're phenomenal running backs.
Another player who I would say is Kellen Moore. Boise State, they won against Oklahoma back in 2008, but Kellen Moore for years with Boise State was really damn good. They only lost 3 games at Boise State in that
Well,
era
he's going to
with
lose his
Kellen
job
Moore.
I was going to say,
tomorrow.
did he get fired yet? Yeah.
I never said he was good in the NFL. I just know in college, Boise State with Chris Peterson as their head coach
Yeah,
was a very
yeah.
phenomenal
Well,
team.
you can even reach down. Let's say Carson Wentz, North Dakota State.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was going to get
Yeah.
into them in team when we talk about the great
Yeah,
teams.
the teams.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, shit, to win like he's won and still, even after the injuries and shit like that, I don't know. Just
And-
a great all-around college football player, period.
Okay, while we're on the great players, if you don't mind, I'm throwing my 2 cents. So, without
As you always do.
Well, thank you. Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
We would hope you would throw it in there.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I know a whole lot about tennis, but you can't talk about a decades player without mentioning Serena Williams. Can't talk about a decades player without talking about Tiger Woods and what he's done with this comeback. Pretty amazing stuff, right?
My back hurts. My
Yeah,
back hurts.
and of course Michael Phelps and Simone Biles at the Olympic level. I mean, killing things, right? But I'd like to talk a little bit of basketball. You got LeBron James, who arguably has superseded.
I'm trying to get my
this
bong
sport.
noise going for Michael Phelps.
Well, he still. What did he have? 15 gold medals? Who knows? I mean, sounds like your dad's
Sorry.
done this once or twice. I don't know.
No, I heard it. I heard about him.
Oh, okay.
And the weed.
And the but what's been interesting from a basketball guy, watching LeBron James supersede the sport, kind of like like this transcendental talent like Michael Jordan was, closest thing to Michael Jordan, I think. But interestingly, during the same time, you saw the rise of Steph Curry. And it gives hope to all these kids who are undersized, because now, like with the metrics in NBA basketball, every kid thinks like, hey, I can shoot 3-pointers. I don't have to be in there amongst the trees. And I think that you watch with amongst the trees. Yeah, you watch a guy win 2
Fucking
MVPs
sticks.
and bring a lot of attention out to tiny little Oakland, and the Golden State Warriors, and you're going to see this resurgence.
They were the worst team in basketball.
And then
this year.
he suddenly comes along. He kind of got over an injury.
No,
bug.
this year they
Oh,
were the worst team in basketball.
Well, they've lost everyone. They're all hurt. They're all hurt. But like you can't. I don't think talk about the 2010s without talking about Steph Curry with a 2-time MVP.
Well, but the NBA game has changed so dramatically in the last 10 years. Too.
Right.
Nobody plays any big men anymore. In the
right.
middle.
They
Everybody's-
all need to shoot.
Everybody has to shoot on the
There's,
perimeter.
if you're
James
shooting from
Harden.
outside of 15, if you're shooting outside of 15 feet, you better be behind the 3-point stripe. Period.
Yeah.
Like the numbers just say it's better to take that 3-point shot, and I think Steph Curry is the kind of guy that kind of led that that change in the philosophy and how you approach basketball. So got to talk about that guy.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Let's move on. Okay, one more. Johnny Manziel.
No, that's a joke. He's
College
just kidding.
football, though.
No,
We're talking about
he's-
college football.
Oh man,
I fucking hate him too, but I gotta say it because
When he burst
had
on the
his
scene,
1 year.
when he burst on the scene, how could you not be
Big
impressed?
12. Period.
They were in the SEC at the time.
No, not his first 2 years.
No, they were. They played Alabama both years that he was with them.
In conference,
Yeah, because Johnny Manziel beat Alabama
stand
the
corrected.
first year.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
All right.
still, from a purely athletic standpoint, just running around like a chicken with your head cut off, making plays. Isn't that what your job is to make plays?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, from a college football perspective, hell yeah. I think
He was fun to watch.
Yeah.
He was fun to watch.
I personally think I think that's a high risk thing. It's like the double-edged sword. I'd have sooner taken Deshaun Watson before I ever picked up a Johnny Manziel.
Man, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they're going back to the drawing board again.
Poor Browns.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about a few great teams then, because we'll talk about the Browns here whenever we talk about the NFL. But a few great teams. Alabama's the first one that pops off.
Yeah.
to me.
In the last decade?
yeah, it's a dynasty down there. I mean, all he has to do is just show up, and he can recruit anybody he wants.
Yeah, and Dabo
Not
Swinney's
anymore.
Dabo
Yeah, you're right
Swinney's-
about that. You're right
And
about
I'll
that.
tell
That
you what.
mystique's gone because down in the bayou now, go Tigers.
Go Tiger.
And
Clarence
and Clemson's the same way.
Go Tiger.
And I mean, Who wouldn't want to go play at Clemson?
Shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dabo Sweeney's got
And-
a
Ever
culture
been
there.
to Clemson? Like that's in a shit little town, man.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe like
Yeah.
anyone like
I think it's the culture of
Yeah,
what
and you
Dabo
guys
Sweeney
play in a
built there.
horseshoe.
it's no. I mean, I'm like it's just a testament. It's
just
a
trying to come
testament.
back
It's a
with
testament to Dabo Sweeney. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, like people are
Debo
going there
Swinney?
because it's.
I don't
they're-
know who Debo
yeah, no.
Swinney
I mean, they're not going there because it's a big cultural town or it's on the
Right,
beach
right.
or if it's. I mean, they're clearly
You're-
going for the
you're-
football culture.
you're-
Right,
you're
I'm going there
up-
because it gives me an opportunity. It's LSU, it's teams like LSU, it's Clemson, it's Ohio State, it's Alabama, and what will give me an opportunity to have a future to play for the Shield.
Sure.
And
Well, and-
can I do that? And, who loves me the most?
That's going to be a big thing now because those California teams can't seem to get anything right
yeah,
out there.
they're not.
And where
Well,
are those
guys,
big,
did you
where are
see
those
when
big
USC
five?
get
Hey,
their
hey.
asses beat by Iowa?
Yeah.
We
How
don't
does
talk
that
politics
happen?
in here,
Well, when I'm saying
Professor. We don't.
Corn-fed,
No,
we
no,
try not to bring
stylish
up
hair.
politics.
the point I'm trying to make is that those 5-star recruits out of California, they're
Yeah.
not going to stay in California.
No.
Corn-fed.
They go to
beats
Ohio
stylish
State.
hair,
They're
man.
going to
That's all I
go
gotta
back to
say.
the Midwest or they're going to go down
Yep.
southeast and they're going to play.
Yep. Yep.
Why would you want to go play at Cal or USC?
It would be interesting to see what
or
Urban Meyer
UCLA?
does.
Yeah,
Rumors
that's
are
a big
him
thing.
to USC. If that happens, a whole different landscape in college football. I
That
think.
that completely changes everything.
Yeah.
But do you think he wants to get back into college game? I don't
I'm
think
up
so.
against it with my Redskins.
Well,
just
he was
saying.
on the sideline for the Ohio State game.
I know. I saw him.
He was like, Ryan, I'm taking your job back.
I may have gotten a little
Ryan.
excited. You know.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm an FCS fan because I come from an FCS school, but North Dakota State has
Oh,
been
definitely.
the pinnacle of FCS football ever since 2011. They have won.
Hey, wait a minute.
They have
Sorry.
won 7 national championships in the past 8 years. There is nobody better at
find
FCS
it.
football, and
Yeah.
this is coming
Oh,
from
yeah.
a Duke fan that
You're gonna love it.
was the only team to stop their streak of 8 in a row.
Well, what's the story? If you're in North Dakota, you always buy the championship tickets every year.
Oh yeah,
'cause you know
right
you're
away.
going.
As soon as the tickets go on sale for
Yeah,
the
they
game,
go.
you got to do it.
It's like a home game.
Exactly.
yeah.
It's like a second town in
Yeah.
Fargo. North Dakota State is the pinnacle, and they have also produced one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Carson Wentz, if you could say whatever you want, he is one of the best in the NFL. If he doesn't get hurt in the Super Bowl year, he's the MVP.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get hurt, the Eagles probably beat the Patriots even more.
Well, and maybe as impressive as all of that is, he just led them to an NFC East title.
Oh, my
and I know
God.
the NFC least is like they've struggled, but when you look at
The
what his
NFC
tools
Doesn't
are
have
around him,
anybody.
he's
You
yeah.
said
I mean,
the NFC least.
yeah, it's been pretty bad this year. But he's down his top 3 receivers, his top 2 running backs. I mean, I think Carson Wentz. Any questions? Because you listen to these fickle Philly fans, and they're like, "Oh, he's not a leader."
You guys got
Get
rid
his-
of Big Dick Nick.
Yeah,
Get him back in
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that he probably, well, if you're rational, dispelled any of that stuff. I mean, like this guy
Yeah.
clearly has put the Eagles on his back the last 4 games, and it's got them into a championship.
He's
and
the only one who's not hurt.
Well, but all my point, you're making my point even more. I mean, like more so. Does anyone doubt that he can't beat the Vikings at home? Would anyone be surprised if the Eagles beat
the
the
Bears
Vikings at home?
did.
No, they're the 4 seed. They got to play Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Seattle. Oh,
Yeah, they gotta
geez,
play
man.
Seattle.
Yeah,
Remember,
bone
the
up.
East is the worst division. They're
Yeah,
the
they have
4th
to. They have to go
seed.
play Seattle.
They had to go
Remember
play.
there was
They had
talk
the
about Kirk
winner.
Cousins
They had the
coming.
loser of last night's game, San Francisco
So they have Seattle.
or the Seattle. So
Oh
they're
my
gonna
God,
have
they
Seattle.
lucked out. They lucked out with Seattle because Seattle is not that good right now to me.
I mean, so okay. My point's still standing. Would you be surprised if the Eagles upset Seattle
No, I wouldn't.
and Philly? I don't think they
They
know what
I don't think they're playing it. Well,
No,
they're-
they host a home
it's in
game because
Philly.
they're a
It's in
division
Philly.
It's
winner.
in Philly.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. Because
They're the champs.
Nine and
they're
7,
the
right?
Seattle
East champs.
blew their foot off last night.
So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
some other teams though.
357 Magnum. Bang.
Just a couple more teams like the rise of Clemson. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't. I think everyone was shocked when it was like, how is this Deshaun Watson kid coming onto the map right now? And Dabo's leading this team, and then of course Ohio State. They win the first. I think that 2014 team was fantastic. You go down Braxton Miller at the beginning of the season. He tears his ACL. He's done. He's done ski. So it's like, oh, you got JT Barrett. What do we expect from this kid?
Holy shit.
JT Barrett leads him to an undefeated season. He gets hurt in the last game against Minnesota, and they got to play Wisconsin. Everyone's like, fuck it. Wisconsin's going to win. They win 59-0. They won 59-0. Then they go to the playoffs.
Under 12 gauge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Cardale
yeah,
Jones.
yeah.
I didn't come here to play school. I came here to play ball.
That's right.
And then,
Play school.
that's what he said.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then he plays against Alabama, and no one thought, no one gave him a
just
chance.
torched the shit
And
out
even
of him.
I was like, Oregon, Marcus Mariota, who's another great college
That,
football
but
player.
it
yeah.
just has not
He
transferred.
played
over.
2 downs yesterday.
Has not transferred.
The kneel down. No,
Derrick Henry's a man. Just saying.
but
he had 200.
that Ohio State team
yards
was
rushing.
fantastic as well.
Yeah.
And then I would have to say that the what was it?
I don't know.
2019 LSU.
I'm going to jump in there. Like, we're going to turn this to the pro game. I cannot believe that this conversation has gone on this long, and John Mantier hasn't just vomited out the Patriots at this point. We're talking
no,
about
we're talking about college
We're
football.
talking about college.
He didn't tell you that it comes
didn't
into,
tell me.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I'm
supposed
sorry.
to come together. It wasn't supposed to
We'll bleed that into the
include-
next
and-
one.
Yeah.
No, but I would have brought them up. I mean,
Okay.
how could you not?
Yeah, that was all though.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
yeah.
we'll skip the upsets, but controversies.
Oh.
I did.
Yeah. Well,
wait, why are we skipping the
You
upsets?
saw my lead.
Do you want to go into the?
Hell yeah.
We're at an
There's
hour
2.
right now. I'm just letting you know.
Well, let's go for it, man.
let's
This is
fucking-
this
let's
is the
do it.
holiday
This is a
edition
holiday
special.
okay,
holiday
okay.
special.
Upsets. You go ahead. Then.
Patriots Falcons. Can we talk about that as like one of the biggest games? Do you remember that? Like
28-3?
if you were a betting man and you got to halftime on that,
Ask CJ about what I did.
you
What
talk
did
about
you
an upset.
sleep?
I went to bed.
He went to bed.
I went to bed. My wife woke me up.
I know the Patriots. I think were favored going into that game, but at halftime, and you again, if you're a betting man, holy shit! Like in the Super Bowl, wow! I
almost
remember
broke
watching
the
this
TV
game
down.
and just
I
being
was so-
stunned.
We watched
Stunned.
the game right down there, right over there on the big TV, and I was so pissed off, and I just said, "Well, fuck it, I'm going to bed. This is not what the Patriots were just terrible.
was done.
It was over, and then I went to bed, and then Kathy got me up in the middle of the night. She's like, "You're gonna watch this. The Patriots are coming back," and I go, "No, they're not." She goes, "They just scored again." Get up. And she freaking racked my shit. And I got up and I watched the greatest comeback ever after the second touchdown.
Yeah.
After the second touchdown, I was just completely enamored.
Yep.
I was so wired. I couldn't believe it.
Any other
But-
upsets?
I got 2 of them.
Okay.
And both of them are against. I got two. Both of them are Tech against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a 28.5 point freaking favorite over ODU in 2018. And
man.
freaking
Oh,
ODU
man.
wins 49-35.
Sure.
And then the other one is, and CJ, how could you not have brought this up?
Oh, JMU over Virginia
They were
Tech.
33.5 point favorites.
That was whenever they
33
lost to Boise State in week 1, and then lost to James Madison the next week.
JMU was a 33.5 point favorite and lost.
Hey, let's talk about a couple other upsets. How about this past weekend? The Dolphins upsetting the Patriots and taking away home field advantage for them.
Yeah.
And
they got
huge.
Fitz magic. It's never an
I
upset.
want to say,
baby.
like, I saw some stat quickly, and I wish I had retained it, but I think it was like a top 3 upset in like the last like 20 years or something like this. Like their win percentage.
Who's the head
probability-
coach of the Dolphins?
It's a former Patriot guy. What's his name?
Brian Flores.
Brian
Flores.
Flores was
Yeah.
only with the Patriots for 15
Man,
years.
he threw out like
knows
s-
what their defense does. He knows everything about their
Did you see he
offense.
threw out like 16 trick plays in that game?
And his freaking offensive coordinator and receivers coach, he's another Patriots guy for 10 years.
I'm telling you,
they
if
each
you pay attention-
combined, they have more Super Bowl rings than
man.
anybody else in the league.
I'm telling
Those
you all,
son
I
of
don't
a
know if you paid
bitches
attention to
got
this.
7 rings combined.
The
Will you let
Dolphins-
the man talk?
I'm just
Coach?
saying.
The Dolphins are good for like one upset of the Patriots every 2 years.
That's their Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
But they happen. It happens like once
if
every
you-
2 years.
This
Yeah,
is the
but if-
Miami Miracle Part 2.
And-
I
right
know
here.
that, but
I saw
know
one of them.
that.
I was in Miami. I saw them 3 years ago when they upset Tom Brady. I went down to Miami and flew in there. My neighbor's a huge Dolphins fan, and I watched them upset Tom Brady under Kenyon Drake, who had like 200 yards all-purpose that game.
Yeah.
Like if you're a betting man and you're looking for trends, once every 2 years.
Well,
you
if
can count on
Brian
an upset.
Flores and his offensive coordinator and receivers coach wouldn't know what Bill Belichick and the rest of his staff were going to do from every adjustment, every formation, everything about them, it should have been them. They should have won early. And you know what? The worst part is the Patriots went down to freaking Miami earlier this year, beat them 43
They're
nothing.
nothing. Yep.
Shut their shit out.
Hey, let's stay in the Super Bowl upsets with the Patriots. How about when the fucking Seahawks had them on the ropes?
Yeah.
And Marshawn
Yep,
Lynch,
yep.
instead of handing the ball off on first and goal,
Yeah,
decide
yeah.
to throw a slant play and slant pattern and gets it picked off. Talk about upsets. Again, like I'm a big guy into these
Butler.
early metrics, and it was like a 99% probability the Seahawks are going to win this game. In the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, Russell Wilson's second probably cements his Hall of Fame career, like 2 Super Bowls and what he's done so far, and instead he throws a pick.
You call that an upset though?
Again, because I'm
Oh.
looking at microcosm instead in the big game. Because again, the Patriots going in as a favorite, I believe in that game as well. But you're down at that final spot, and you're like, this game's over. You're first and goal with Marshawn in
Yeah.
the backfield, and like everyone's go to bed. John, you can go to bed.
I was in bed. I was asleep until
And
my wife
instead-
started beating my
And
ass.
instead, Pete Carroll says, "No, I'm going to make Russell Wilson the hero of this," and he stands back.
Well,
and
that's
he,
another thing is because CJ and I were sitting down there, and how ape shit did I go when freaking Butler intercepted that
Oh,
pass? I
man.
went fucking
Well,
nuts.
Fell out the chair.
You're talking
I
about
did. I went nuts.
talking about other upsets. Go back to college. Appalachian State beating.
Yeah. I didn't write that down, but that
yeah.
I
was on
said
there.
in the
That-
decade, I would have put that at number 1.
That
Yeah.
is it. I mean, if you want to talk about an upset, everybody always talks about that game for the last 10
as
years.
a Buckeyes fan, you're making me smile
Because
right now.
There's no way Appalachian State's going to beat Michigan. Bam, it out. And then that's everybody's
And they were
everybody's
like a
Achilles
30
heel. Nobody
30-point
wants to beat
favorite, too.
Michigan.
I mean, Michigan was like a 30-point favorite.
they were a
in that game.
national championship favorite to
Yeah.
win it all.
Yeah, they were in.
Oh,
they
they're
were in the
returning
run.
Mike Hart, Chad
Yeah.
Henne, Mario Manningham. This team's going all the way. And who's their first opponent? Who the fuck's Appalachian State? Oh,
They roll into the big house.
You mean
Coach
the
John
back to-
Ward, one of my good friends, Coach John Ward, played at App State.
You mean the
Coach
back-to-back
baseball,
FCS
too.
national
Coach
champions
baseball
are
there.
going into the big house?
Grew up on an Indian
Yeah,
reservation.
that's who's coming in.
Hey,
Yeah,
while we're here, we do have a special guest in the house, and how can we talk about greatest teams of the decade without mentioning his Cubs? That's right, from the peanut gallery over there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because I'm buddies with Tom and watching that thing go through.
Don't want
but
to
I
get
felt
stabbed in the
I
back
felt a
right
little
now.
special. I mean, Tom, how long was that? The drop between those World Series? 108 years. 108 years.
I
And
can't
I
even
remember
count
feeling
that
chill
high.
bumps. Chris Bryant catches that
Some
hopper.
chill
I
bumps?
chill bumps. I don't. Is that a thing? I don't know. Some goosebumps. How about that? Chris Bryant takes
hell's a chill
that
bump?
short hopper out
I
of
don't
third
know.
base. His front foot, his plant foot slips, and you're like, oh shit! Like
Buckner.
as a Redskins, Orioles, and Wizards fan, I'm like,
And it
oh
goes
man,
between his legs.
I see that thing slip, and I'm like, yeah, this thing's going to get sailed. And instead, it works out. And Rizzo catches the ball. Game over. How many years again?
108.
108-year drought done. How can you talk about the 2010s without talking about the Cubs, the Cubbies?
Yeah, but who fucking cares about Tom? His ass is retired.
I care about
He
Tom.
don't do shit.
I love Tom.
We love Tom.
Tom's
but,
my guy.
But he's retired. He
any more
doesn't do
upsets, or
shit.
can we move on to controversies?
Controversies. Well, the
Oh,
three, the three that
time
we
out, time out. Again, 2010s. How do you not talk about the Cavs down 3-0 to the Warriors and LeBron leading that back?
It was 3-1.
2016. It was 3-1.
Damn it, man, CJ.
Don't test
He's
me.
not very nice to his ghost, man. It's 2 times, Tom. I'm walking out on the third one. Still 3-1 to the Warriors.
Yes.
CJ,
yes.
two-time champions at that point. The Warriors, or one time
No, it was one time.
returning
This
champions.
was their returning.
They had
defending
won their
crown.
first NBA championship in a long time, and they complete the 73-9 regular season. The greatest
Yes,
team in
the-
NBA.
yeah. Beat the
73 and
Bulls
9.
7-2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
72 and 10
just
Bulls.
bumped the floor with everybody, and then they go up 3-1 on the Cavs, and
And
the
then
final
LeBron.
game was in the freaking Oracle, and I remember I was sitting in the car. And
We
yeah,
was riding home. Where the hell were we coming
I
from?
don't
We
know.
were all in the car.
I don't know, but
We
I
were
just remember
in the
hearing-
car as a family, and we were coming home and listening to the game.
and it was right at the end, and I remember hearing the ball is blocked by LeBron.
LeBron's the block.
Yeah,
Right?
the block.
Yeah.
And then Kyrie Irving draining the three.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, they just really did this.
Yeah.
And they really just.
And then Kyrie put up a bitch fit and ended up in Boston because
Yeah.
he's an ass.
He's
And they
complex,
have
man.
won
That's all.
shit.
He's just complex.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, he's complex. He's got layers.
So he's a woman.
Like an onion, huh?
Yeah.
So he's a woman then?
That's
He's
fine.
an ogre?
Complex,
That's
he's
fine.
got layers.
Dude.
But you gotta have friends. Stop singing!
You miserable beast of Butterden.
Let's go on to controversies because, like I said, we're at an hour 10. I know we can go
Yeah.
longer, but still,
Yeah.
you can't talk about college football without its controversies. It's a sad thing that has happened. And I'm glad that at least the NCAA cracked down on these, but it seemed like it was too late for some people, especially when it came to, especially Sandusky, because this house is a Penn State family. And hearing about Jerry Sandusky, I don't know of like just something
What a piece of shit.
that was more heartbreaking though to see that Joe Paterno's entire career was just tarnished right there in that moment. It was
They took his statue down. Freaking.
for everything that he did for that school, and it just the whole situation for just his defensive coordinator.
Did they pull his name off the library too?
I don't know.
You know, I don't know.
I don't read, so I don't know. So like I couldn't tell you.
Because he put the money up for the library at the university.
You know, I don't know. I don't know if they did or not.
For over
What, 40 plus
40
years?
plus
Yeah.
years of winning, and to see that just a week after everything
He got
happened,
railroaded. I mean, he got included in with all that stuff. But it's hard to imagine that he didn't know with all the shit he's supposed to know as the head coach. But you got the other part of me says, how many people on his staff said Joe doesn't need to know about this? Joe doesn't need to know. Don't get him involved. Don't get Joe involved. It's hard to say.
And then he turned around here about 2 or 3 weeks ago trying to get his sentence lightened.
I saw that.
Oh yeah, I
saw
know.
that,
And,
yeah.
and he
And they,
did.
they
Good
threw the
luck
book
with that one.
back.
They threw the fucking book at him,
Yeah,
and he got extended.
yeah. They
Yeah,
gave him more time.
Yeah, they gave him more time.
He's
Fuck
going
him.
to die in there.
Good.
In fact, somebody ought to whack him like they did.
No,
what's
they
his
ought to
name?
treat him like they did the kids and just freaking.
Guy from Boston.
some dude from fucking.
Yeah, they're gonna
Another
whack his
another
ass.
controversy. Ohio State is not without it. They're not. We're going
Jim-
to that one. It's
Jim
on
Tressel.
the list.
Jim Tressel.
Yeah. That's not really a controversy. I mean, kids sold belongings of theirs
It
for
wasn't
tattoos.
Jim Tressel, and I wanted to say that with CJ earlier.
Look,
It
in
wasn't
case you guys
him.
don't know the story, every time Ohio State beats Michigan, they get a pair of gold pants. It's a little pin, a pendant, and apparently it's solid gold. And some of the players for Ohio State traded in those gold pants for tattoos.
and jerseys.
And because the NCAA is
They got a jersey. They got a bowl game jersey too.
No, yeah, Mike Adams is the former left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Traded off his
It was
game.
terrible.
Yeah, he signed his
Yeah,
he signed his jersey and traded that
For the
as part of a
Steelers it was,
tattoo
not for the
tattoo gate
Buckeyes.
as they called it. I don't really see that. Like this again speaks to the larger picture, which is the NCAA is a racket, and these
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
are taking like coming from sordid backgrounds, and parents can't afford to pay for their tattoos or whatever that may be, and so they took what's available to them and cashed it in for something that they valued more.
Which I agree. I don't see that as as big of a controversy
Yeah.
as the other.
I'm saying it just shook the world though because
Yeah, because
you're
it's
Jim Tressel
Ohio-
is now out of Ohio State.
Well, he was at Youngstown State. I don't
Before
know.
that, yep.
Yeah, he
Before
was.
that,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
And
he
didn't
went
he go
back.
back
And
he went back as AD.
Yes, he went
went back
He's
as
the
AD.
AD.
And now
Yeah.
technically he's like an advisor or something with Ohio State. The vest. Yeah, I thought that you're talking about being railroaded right out of town.
Yeah,
Ohio
exactly.
State's last two coaches, Tressel and Urban Meyer. Controversies with
Yeah.
his wide receivers coach allegedly having domestic dispute issues.
that.
Domestic dispute issues, and ultimately, what comes to this.
I don't remember the guy's name.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Smith. It's a Smith.
Ryan
what-
Smith.
no.
It's probably Ryan or
No,
John or Dave. Or
it'll come
whatever
to
the-
me. It'll come to me.
Larry?
Wait, you're supposed to know, CJ. Come on, man.
I don't give a fuck about Ohio State. I'm sorry.
So in the controversy, what ends up coming of this is talking about railroad. Urban Meyer, one of the greatest college football coaches of all time, loses his job and is blackballed because his wide receivers coach allegedly had domestic dispute issues. And to me, like that is controversial. It broadened into one of the most successful college football tenures at Ohio State in NCAA history, really, at a single school, in the history of the game, and it came to an end unceremoniously.
Yeah.
Boom, gone. 3-game suspension, and it's like the whole world turned on him, and he leaves at the end of the day and gives way to Tim Day. See how I did that? That's called a segue.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
guy
He's
just
on
told
top
me
of
how
his
to
game over
podcast right now.
That's on his
Show.
game over there.
Another controversy though is Baylor. Of
Or
course,
Bryles.
Art Briles, the head coach, could go to hell. He can go to hell because the whole situation that happened at Baylor. but that he knew about that was going on.
Yeah.
And
It's a
that-
rape culture, right?
It's a whole
Golly.
fucking rape, beating, domestic abuse culture that happened
And
at
what do you
Baylor.
think about Matt Rule? Matt Rule, who came in there and they were 1-11 his first
And now
year.
he's being contacted for an NFL job as we speak.
Yeah.
Well,
Possibly the Giants.
there's another controversy too. You remember a couple years back, North Carolina got in trouble
Yeah.
for buying grades and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were freaking getting other people to take tests
Tests and everything
shit.
else, yeah, and they lost all those scholarships.
Where
and
were
all.
they at when I was in college?
And then Louisville losing their
Oh yeah,
national
Rick Pitino.
championship trophy for men's basketball.
Rick Pitino.
And also you had the whole Reggie Bush issue going on.
And all that shit
For
at Michigan
USC.
State over the gymnastics.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, the doctor.
that bled into Ohio State. Not to make this a theme or anything. Yeah, that same doctor was back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he was touching them girls, man.
D'Antonio,
boys.
D'Antonio is going to survive.
Was he?
He will survive as coach at
D'Antonio
Michigan
Wilson?
State. Yeah,
He should.
but they've cleaned house with everybody else at that university.
should.
Everybody's gone. He's
I
going to
think
stay.
he's a principled guy.
and
I really think he is.
and the basketball guy.
Tom Izzo.
Tom Izzo.
Izzo.
Those two were insulated. Everybody else, they've burnt that place down.
Yeah.
They have.
Lansing, Michigan.
Can we talk about controversies without mentioning Colin Kaepernick?
No.
Can you?
Silence.
I'm
No,
sorry,
you can.
Silence.
You can without getting political.
So here's my
We
point
don't
of
do
view.
politics on our show.
Absolutely not.
will throw
So
my mic.
here's my personal opinion. It's really interesting. There's an Esquire magazine cover of Muhammad Ali standing, and he's bound, and he's in his boxer shorts, like his boxing shorts, and
Not boxer
boots.
shorts,
yeah,
but
boxing shorts
trunks.
with his trunks, yeah, and
Right,
his
right.
boots, his shoes, boxing shoes, and there are arrows all through him. And the point of the picture, speaking in 1,000 words, was his stance on Vietnam, and it was really interesting. And I don't mean to liken necessarily Colin Kaepernick's, like what his agenda is compared to necessarily what Muhammad Ali's is or was, but it's very interesting to see a man. Who was in that upper echelon of his game at that time. I mean, he had taken the 49ers to a Super Bowl, lost to the Falcons, suddenly
It was
take a
the Ravens.
stance.
Ravens.
What did I
They
say?
lost the Ravens.
You can
said
walk
49ers,
out
didn't
now.
I?
You're 0
You
for
said the
3.
Falcons.
Did I say the Falcons?
Yeah.
Jesus. Sorry.
Seriously, you can walk out now. You're 0 for 3.
Elijah Craig.
Elijah Craig might be speaking. Yeah. To watch him sacrifice all of that and his standing for something that he believed in, pretty controversial. And of course, Nike gets involved in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And then how much is Kaepernick selling out because of, he's benefiting a little bit from these Nike advertisements.
And now you
It's
have
been
Not a little
workout
bit.
issue that's
the
going
workout
on.
issue. Yeah.
Not a little bit.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it.
He's
yeah.
he's benefiting a lot of
But
it.
it's for me, it's just very interesting and certainly controversial. Certainly worth a talking point.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Well,
it is. It was a huge controversy, and it's not unlike anything else in the NFL. It comes down to money, brother. The Shield is about money. The Shield protects money, and if you step over the line, it doesn't matter. Antonio Brown's a perfect example. Controversy. Shut your fucking hole, buddy. Shut your hole, and you wouldn't be in half this mess.
Well, another controversy too is what brought the downfall of Tiger Woods.
Oh yeah.
And then he had to completely rehabilitate that whole career.
Yeah. The Waffle House.
Well,
Waitress.
every porn star every other day coming out and say,
Yeah.
I knew Tiger extensively.
Waffle House. I thought it was Perkins.
No, I think it was.
What is that?
Waffle House.
You were over 4 now. I thought it was Perkins.
I got it back
waitress.
up over there. Yeah. I'm gonna
was
spike
the
these
Perkins
fucking
waitress.
headphones on the ground and I'm walking out.
You owe us $20. We're expensive on this show. We'll go over the- All right, let's talk about the NFL for however long we want to, I guess. I'm just
That's the way to
going
go,
off
man.
the
Hey,
rails.
it's
go.
the Christmas
I
edition.
get that. I get
Hey,
that.
none of us
But
are
it's
working.
9 o'clock.
None of us are working.
Yeah.
So who cares?
So the playoffs are now set,
Yep.
and
New England versus Tennessee, Houston at Buffalo, New Orleans at Minnesota, and the Beagles at the Seahawks.
so let's talk about the AFC first.
All right,
Well-
AFC first.
Well, whatever you want to say, Coach, I have been a huge supporter of Tom Brady. I think he's the greatest to ever play the game.
Going to end this year.
But I will say this. I am happy to see them not get a first round bye because it is good for the sport. It is good to have a new champion. It is good to, well, not probably a new champion because the Ravens might win it, but like I'm saying, people hate the Patriots, and I think that this year it's finally like, hey, just give us somebody new. I don't care who it is. Just don't make it the Patriots. Because right now they have to go up against a team in Tennessee who can easily put points up on the board and a defense.
You know
that
how
can
much I
easily-
love my Derrick Henry, man.
Yeah, exactly. And
Derrick Henry can rush. He rushed for 214, 215 yards
he's
this
the
past
rushing
year.
champion of 2019.
The Patriots better have their shit wired tight, or freaking the Titans are
another
gonna freaking
former member of the
another
organization,
one.
Mike
Yep,
Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel.
That beautiful mustache might come in there.
Yeah.
Did you see there was a video of him saying like, "What the fuck is that, dickwad?" on Mike. Not on Mike, but it was mouthed out on
Right.
TV, and I was like, "Yep, that's Mike Vrabel."
Yeah, Mike Vrabel. He's
So-
badass. He's got a couple of rings.
So the Patriots versus the Titans. I honestly think that the Titans could take it, but
I
I've
think
been
so.
wrong.
I think so.
I've been wrong because the Patriots can come out and play like they did against the Bills every now and again. So
So
Yeah.
do you think that his formula in New England is getting old?
No,
no,
no. I think they got enough. I think they've got
going to,
enough.
I mean, his formula for going to get players.
no,
'Cause
I
he
think they've
doesn't
got
have
enough-
any players.
I think he's got enough injuries, and you're right. I think that they've lost a few players. Not having Ben Watson involved in their offense a lot more is a problem. I mean, you for years they've feasted with Rob Gronkowski, but they won the freaking Super Bowl without him. So it's really, really hard to tell what will happen. They'll be well prepared, I think, not unlike any other New England team. Shit. If everybody says the Patriots better look out, well, the Tennessee and the rest of the AFC better look out because, shit, you never know what freaking Bill Belichick and their guys are going to freaking come up with. You never know. You don't.
I was gonna say,
So-
you think that they've been just fooling us this whole time, and they're
No,
about
I
to
don't
break
think you
out
can-
Randy Moss again?
No, I don't think you can fool them.
I mean, Seattle went and got beast mode out of retirement.
Yeah, but that's not happening with the Patriots. It's not happening in a week. So,
So
I could see a one and done, or I could see them going to ending up going to Kansas City and being in an all out brawl and come up short. Or you never know. They can end up in the freaking AFC Championship. You never know what you're going to get out of them.
who's the other? Oh, it's
Houston and
versus
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'm taking Buffalo.
Yeah, I think Buffalo's a real
I've said
deal.
this for freaking weeks. I love freaking Josh Allen. I love that kid. He's a freaking gamer. You never know what you're going to get out of them. Freaking Frank Gore. he's getting ready to. He's creeping up on Walter Payton on number 2 all time.
But the Singleton kid is very dynamic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Bill, I could see the Bills win that game.
I could definitely see Buffalo winning that. But it wouldn't surprise me if Deshaun Watson worked a little magic and they got some shit
You
done.
know, you kept saying you never know what you're going to get. I feel like that's Houston. I
Yeah.
feel like that's Deshaun Watson. He makes amazing plays within the scheme of the game,
Yep.
but then they go on these droughts.
Both
It's an
teams.
awful offensive line, though. I
Yeah.
will say that an awful.
I'm just not willing to put any.
I'm not, and that's the reason
any
is
stock
because
in that.
Buffalo's defense,
Yep.
their front four, Ed Oliver, beast at Houston,
Yep.
Shaq Lawson, Clemson, unbelievable defensive end, Jerry Hughes, another unbelievable
Yeah.
defensive end, and then fuck, I don't care about the other guy. No, Starlet Tulele, that's the other one.
Starlet Atulale.
Yep.
Well, you look at those two AFC games.
Who the hell pulls that out of their ass? Starlet Atulale.
Star Latulele.
Okay, Starlet. Who gives a shit?
The
How did you
star of
just-
our show is who pulls that out.
Yeah,
Well, you look at those two
that's why
AFC
he's
games.
in
I mean,
charge.
you
It's a
really look at the
toss-up.
line here. Yeah, you really can't pick a winner here.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was having to go sports bet those two games, I wouldn't be sports betting.
Well, I mean,
Right,
it's the same for
right.
the NFC. The Eagles and Seahawks game, to me, the Seahawks look like the better team on paper, especially with the amount of injuries that have added up in Philly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can't count him out, Carson, in the game. I just
Yep.
can't.
The only real true deal I think is Saints are just going to roll over
Minnesota.
Minnesota,
just
yes.
are.
Breeze at home. Breeze at home.
Yeah,
Like
they're playing.
that's
they're playing,
my money.
Yep.
But
If
he's not
Breeze
on
were
the
on the
NFL
road.
100 all-time list.
It's crazy,
For
crazy.
some fucking reason.
Nor is Rodgers,
I got to
right?
see Sammy Baugh and Otto Graham and all these old guys in a no offense,
Sammy Baugh's
Tom,
a
but
Redskin, man.
in a
Hey.
non-passing, in a
He was a triple
non-passing
threat.
league.
Taking shots at me
in
today.
in Drew,
Dude, he's a triple threat.
He was punter and
Run,
safety.
pass, kick.
but what
I've got
I'm
his rookie
saying
card
is that
and a
Drew
t-shirt.
Brees has broken every
was a single
single
wing
record
superstar.
you
Don't get me
could
wrong. Yeah,
possibly
absolutely.
imagine.
Absolutely.
And
I'm a single wing guy, so I love me
I think
some slinging Sammy
he
Ball.
wins the Super Bowl this year. You know,
he'll be done then, I hope.
Well, you know, would be interesting. Like, you know, like you got Peyton Manning. I think that he maybe usurps Peyton Manning. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, he usurps Peyton Manning for the second
He has a
best
74
quarterback of all
completion
time,
percentage and has only
Second
played 11
best?
games
behind Tom Brady.
behind
You think?
Tom.
For me, it's Brady than Manning. But
Why?
I think
Why Brady versus Breeze?
six
Statistically,
Super Bowls. You know, it's like why would you put Montana nowadays in the top 5? Because his numbers don't line with some of these guys nowadays. But he won.
He won
And
games.
you know, Brady
you
like
think
you
of
can't deny it.
yardage and touchdowns,
Right, sure.
Breeze is
So
right there.
So then
man.
you can say Marino at the top of all that, right? So for me,
No.
Well, I mean, you know, like for me, it's Brady.
Why was
Like I think
Elway
that's
on that
undisputed.
list too?
Who?
Why was Elway on that list too? I remember in big games early in
Because
his
he was
career.
Marino, but with 2 Super Bowls. Like
Late in
Yeah.
his career, though, he was.
Yeah.
still 2 Super
Yeah.
Bowls.
This
And he also
one's
had-
for John.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terrell Davis, for helping me out.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
Hey, Mark Schlereth, don't shit your pants.
They
Mark
called
Schlereth
him
is another
Stink for a
Redskin.
ring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For a ring. For a reason.
yeah.
And then, as you said, I absolutely would pick New Orleans over Minnesota. Like,
Yeah.
I think so.
it seems that
Kirk Cousins can't win a big one?
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, even that, he can't win a Monday night football game.
0 for 9.
Let alone a playoff game.
0-9.
Yeah, back to the Redskins. again.
0-9.
When it came down to it, Minnesota could have been the number 1 seed if you look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
It could have, but you have to win a Monday night football
Right.
game against your arch rival.
Right.
You have to, and it didn't happen.
Yep.
And then you lose to the Bears.
Yep.
And then,
We're gonna get some
Eagles and
Cam
Seahawks,
Newton soon. So
like,
who
I
cares?
get that they have Marshawn Lynch now, but like, I
That's
don't
not
know.
that big a factor.
Huh?
That's not that big a factor.
Exactly. Like, they played Seattle earlier in the year, and they looked starstruck. The Eagles did, but that was also because Russell Wilson also got lucky in that game. I felt.
Well, yeah.
He threw up some passes that I was like, Jesus, that only works like 2 times out of 10, honestly. So, and then also you have the city of Philly behind you now in full force. That if you win this game, you get Deshaun Jackson back, and you also have another couple players that will be able to come back because they're on the IR designated to return list. And you go into Green Bay, a team who you beat earlier in the year as well. I'm not saying that matters, but a team that
Fletcher
honestly,
Cox.
to me, does
Fletcher
not look
Cox.
that great is Green Bay. They're the worst looking 13-3 team out there to me.
Fletcher Cox. How does that freaking guy last an entire season? You talk about a freaking man.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he gets a chance to lunch the shit out of freaking Aaron Rodgers. Get by this first round, freaking play Green Bay, and lunch the shit out of him, and just be like on his collarbone, just freaking kicking his ass. Just nothing worse than I hate is Aaron Rodgers' look on his face.
So
I
that's
currently am a Chiefs fan. I think everyone keeps overlooking the fact that
Oh,
this
yeah.
kid, Patrick
it's a
fucking
real
Mahomes,
deal.
My
It
home,
was hurt.
I hope,
my-
I hope he
my
goes
homie-
into Baltimore and beats Baltimore.
You know, I mean,
You
like,
know,
what-
if the Patriots get by and can play the freaking Chiefs, and the Chiefs freaking take the Patriots down, which they should, I want him to go to freaking Baltimore
what a game
and
that would be.
deal an ass whooping on the freaking Ravens.
I don't think it would be
wanna
an
see
ass
him.
whooping. I think it would be like,
It's
man,
going to be
great
exactly
game.
that game will look exactly like the 49ers Ravens game. It'll
Yes,
be
I could see that.
low scoring, probably no more. Winning team won't score any more than 17 points.
Oh, you don't.
It'll be that kind of game.
Be
You know, I'm
hope
kind of
not.
agreeing with
I
Tom,
hope
though,
not.
I hope it's a high scoring
the,
affair.
the,
and
the
Patrick
Chiefs' defense
Mahomes.
isn't that good, though. That's
Yeah,
the
that's the
thing,
problem.
is that they'll be
Well,
facing Lamar.
But Baltimore at that time of the year, what's the weather going to look like?
Well, who fucking knows? It might rain all damn day.
Or it could be mid-60s. Or it could be mid-60s, right?
It's a shithole city. It could be anything going on.
It's against the 49ers. It
Maybe
was
we get
raining
some
all day.
snow, and there's freaking some really good snow.
Well,
and they're on a natural turf grass. They're on a natural turf
I know
field now.
Lamar is like the shit this year, but
He is. He's phenomenal.
yeah, but you know, like
I don't want to like
again,
that son of a bitch, but he's good.
He's a lot of fun to watch this
He's
year.
good.
Yeah.
Just his style, it's one big hit away from everything's off
career.
the. Yeah, and you look at the way that those two play, and Patrick Mahomes, to me, if you're if you're a betting man, and you're looking at the long term prospects, his game is going to hold up longer than Lamar Jackson, and I feel like in these kind of games.
He doesn't take the hits. that Lamar
But
does.
Lamar's looking for that one extra yard, and he takes that one extra hit.
Todd McShay. What?
What was this?
This guy's fucking. Oh my god!
What just happened?
It's a top NFL draft prospects for running backs. They put Jonathan Taylor at number 3. Are you
don't think
kidding
so?
me?
And Dobbins
He's
was
number 2.
Dobbins was 2.
He's number 1. Dobbins is 2.
DeAndre
Swift is 3.
No, he was 1. DeAndre Swift was 1.
No, but I'm saying DeAndre Swift is not the best running back in college football.
He played St. Joe's Prep in Philly.
I'm
I
sorry
watched
to
him
go
in
off.
I
on
watched
that,
him in
but
high school.
Who's DeAndre Swift?
He's a running
He's
back
for
from
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
joking.
Like the Big Ten this entire season has been about Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Journey Brown, Ricky Slade, all those boys, and yet for some reason DeAndre Swift, who couldn't do it.
Who's the kid from North Stafford?
Who?
The kid from North Stafford plays at Penn State. After Journey Brown, before Ricky Slade.
Noah Kane.
No. The other running back.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I know
North Stafford.
Who
Saquon
cares?
Barkley, Miles
All right.
Sanders. That's where mine stops.
I'm gonna get
Let's
this,
go
and
on
you guys
to,
are gonna go, oh yeah, him.
Let's go to who's hot, who's not. Well, I can tell you who's very hot. It's Tennessee right now, but
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that they're the hottest team right now. That you need to look out for them in the playoffs, and then Kansas City too. You just
Well,
Devin Ford.
Tennessee's being led by a future Hall of Famer, right? Ryan
Devin
Tannehill.
Ford.
The
That's
Dolphins have drafted 3 quarterbacks in the first round. 2 of them have already made the Hall of Fame: Brian Greasy and Dan Marino. So Tannehill's the third
you mean
guy.
Bob,
He's-
yeah, you
No,
mean
no,
Bob
no.
Greasy?
What'd I say?
said
Brian?
Brian.
His brother, his son. Damn it, man!
I'm almost certain it's Bob Greasy.
Yeah,
who
Bob.
was
Somebody get him
back
a
in 1972.
yeah. Somebody get him another sip
Blaming
of
Alsatian.
bourbon.
I'm blaming Alsatian.
And then who's not? Well, I'll tell you. Who's
It was
fucking
Devin
not.
Ford from Penn
The
State.
Vikings are not.
Devin Ford. He's just freaking.
Yeah, I
sick.
agree. Vikings, that ship's going down.
Well, there's. I don't
Dalvin
want to
Cook's
just
hurt?
bring it into the playoffs, but like the teams who don't make the playoffs, they're not. I'll tell you who's not hot though. Is fucking Cleveland Browns. It is a good day to see the Cleveland Browns go up in flames and the whole organization come crumbling down because everyone who crowned
Says the
them,
man wearing a fucking black and gold shirt
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah. That's
What?
you.
That's you, asshole.
Yeah, okay,
Fucking
that's fine.
Steelers.
That's fine.
No,
You could say whatever you want, but the Cleveland Browns, everyone who commended them, knighted them, said playoff bound, Super Bowl bound, you can kiss my
are who
fat
we
ass
thought they
because
were.
they won 6 games.
Yeah,
who we thought they
you want to go back to about, the decade in review? The Cleveland Browns are the only team to be under 500 the entire decade.
Yeah.
And they've never
that
had a
right?
winning record.
Never had a winning record
And
in
they,
the entire
and people
decade.
were saying Super Bowl bound for these guys.
Yep.
Wow.
And we were talking about Buffalo. Buffalo is the first time this entire decade that they won 10 games. Wow. They're 10 and
But they've
they
been
were,
to the Super or to the playoffs a couple of times, though.
No,
right?
they were 10 and 6. This is the first year that in the entire decade they won 10
But they still have been to the playoffs a couple of times.
No. This is the first time because they've always played in the AFC East with the Patriots. This is the first time that
I thought
they've
gone
had
as wild
10
card.
wins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
but
pretty
you think
incredible.
about that. Cleveland, 10 years,
that's incredible.
not have a winning record the entire decade.
Who's also not hot.
That's hard to
Well,
believe.
Yeah, and they've had how many
clearly the
coaches?
Redskins are.
And how many
You
first
knew it
round
had to
picks you've
come
had
into the
over a decade?
conversation.
They
You
had
know.
3 head coaches in 15 months.
Yeah.
So here's all I'll say about the Redskins is for the first time in our years and years and years of futility, it looks like we actually have a building block here. Before in 2012, it was riding on two players. It was Robert Griffin III and it was Alfred Morris. This year, it seems to have
RG3 was freaking dynamite
RG3,
yesterday.
man. Like I was all
He was not. He had under 100 yards.
Yeah, I think
passing.
he was like 9 of 22, 496 yards.
Did
or something.
anybody have a freaking great game passing into fucking? I saw Noah
Monsoon.
and his arc go by, and he was hurting animals.
Hey, Trace
2 by 2.
McSorley played for a play, so screw you.
Yeah, and he didn't get the first
Trace
down.
Yes, he
That
did.
fucking pissed me off.
No, he did get
They
the first
remeasured.
down.
That's right. I kept saying put McSorley in. I kept.
Yeah,
hoping-
I
There was
would
a guy
agree with you.
behind me who kept saying it too.
I would
I-
agree with you. The Redskins are not hot. I tell you, I'm going to throw this one out to diffuse it and get off my boys. How about the Lions? What are the Lions going to do with Matthew Stafford? Because they're sitting right now at the number
What
3
are the
pick.
Lions going to do in general?
Well, the number 3 pick, and you have a lot of money wrapped up in your quarterback. But are you going to be
$100 million.
Yeah, are you going to look at
You're gonna
tag?
you're gonna go get one of those running backs. Is what you're gonna go get.
But
probably.
I don't
They'll-
think that's
I don't
such
know.
a
They
good
have a
idea,
direction
though.
right now. Because they just spent a first round pick on Kerryon Johnson 2 years ago.
And they also have Bo Scarborough as a backup to him as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
I mean,
going out and spending a lot of money for another running back. It's
suddenly you looked at a team that seemed to be okay in that NFC North, and they find themselves in the 3rd pick. And of course, you got to talk about
There's
the
no
Bengals.
smoking in here.
What are the Bengals going to do?
Not
What are
supposed
the
to be
Bengals going to do?
smoking.
There are no prospects over there in Cincinnati.
Holy shit! Are they?
hey, they just beat Cleveland. Don't you go
That's
there.
an
They just
interesting
beat
thing.
Cleveland.
Think about that. They won a game. Cleveland one season didn't win a game.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The fact that they beat the New York,
Cincinnati won
they
too.
didn't go down in history as one of the 3 teams in NFL history to not win a game. It's fucking awesome. I hate Cleveland so much. I can't stand.
I can't tell.
I can't stand.
I
them.
don't know what you're
I don't
thinking.
ca-
I can't tell.
I can't stand them because of Freddie Kitchens, who is now looking for a job.
Yeah.
Because he got fired, and he apparently was crying on the phone and being emotional to Ian Rappaport. I don't give a fuck. You wore a Pittsburgh Started shirt to a movie theater and said like, "Oh, that had nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with the game. I don't know what you're talking about. I only lit a fire under their ass and made them want to play harder."
Yeah.
Well,
That had nothing to do
what will
with it.
happen in his coaching career? He'll go to some backwater place, resurrect his career, and come back
As a
and
coordinator.
coordinator
Yeah.
for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably as far as he'll ever get anyway. He is not head coach material.
Well, you understand. You understand this man was only a position coach until last year when he became
Yeah.
the interim
Yeah.
coordinator.
Yes.
And then suddenly it reminds me. It's a
Greg
story out of
Williams.
my Redskins. It's like Jim Zorn coming and
Jim
interviewing
Zorn
for the
from the
offensive coordinator
Seahawks.
position, and they're like, "Hey, I got a better idea. What would make you head coach?" Like that's what basically happened to Freddie Kitchens with this amazing, on paper this roster, and this guy was an interim coordinator, and they're like, "Hey, Freddie,
Hey, Greg Williams, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Come in here, Freddie. Get in
Come
here.
on, Bounty Gate.
listen to this
Let's
idea,
go.
buddy." Yeah.
And then,
Well, is that a problem now with how NFL ownership operates now? You've got a lot of big money coming in buying teams
Yeah.
that have not a clue how football operations work.
yes,
Could be.
the Cardinals hired
Could be.
Cliff Kingsbury, who
Right.
Who,
Oh, man.
man, I question that move so much because he was a below 500 head coach at a Texas Tech team that was one of the worst defenses in college football.
Yeah, talking
Don't
about
get me
who's not.
wrong, he had Patrick Mahomes, but we have now seen that Patrick Mahomes is a once in a generational lifetime player, and Cliff Kingsbury gets the head coaching job. Well, Mike McCarthy, I'm going to keep bringing him up. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach, is sitting at home, not coaching right now
Right,
because
yeah.
nobody would hire him.
But I think that's a problem with the league right now. Is you have a lot of owners who want to win right now and are hiring people that don't have an idea of football operations.
Trying to catch the next hot thing.
Yeah,
the
trying
flash
to
in
catch the
pan.
next flash. And NFL's not like that.
Right.
You have to build. I mean, think about the teams that are always there, decade in, decade out.
Sure.
Stable
Steelers,
ownership,
Yeah.
stable front office,
Sure.
stable coach.
Patriots. Yep.
Patriots, Steelers.
Sure. Yep.
I mean,
Like,
those are two right off the top.
Yep.
You think about that's how it's always been.
I really don't know where the Browns went off the rails here with the whole Freddie Kitchens thing. And, like, you take a look at Mike Tomlin, who, in my mind, this year kind of deserves Coach of the Year.
Oh, I would
it's
agree
either
with
him or
that.
Harbaugh. It's either him or Harbaugh.
In,
right.
in a lot of respects, because this team is down to the third-string quarterback.
Actually,
the scout team.
fourth.
They're a scout team.
scout
Yeah,
team.
scout team.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to go into that, but, like, Mike Tomlin has been around the NFL for over 11 years now.
Yeah, and to think about how old he is, he's still
Relatively young.
He's
Yes.
a young guy.
He's got decades
And-
left.
Yeah.
And I see how he has a disciplined football team in Pittsburgh and how he handles his coaches who have been with him since the very beginning as he got there, like Keith Butler and like Mike Munchak, who came in a couple years ago. And he's left now, but the discipline is still there from his players.
Oh, yeah.
I look at Freddie Kitchens.
No
that
discipline
team is
whatsoever.
not disciplined whatsoever. You have prima donnas all over the
You
field.
yelled out "not" really loud.
And then you have
Hurt my
Mike
ears.
Tomlin,
Who, me?
who said to Antonio
me.
Brown, "Get the hell off of my team right now. I will not have this in my locker room and around these players." And guess what happened? He's gone.
Le'Veon the year before.
And Le'Veon, well, the same year, but yeah,
The holdout for the money.
I don't want. We don't need you here. And if Ben hadn't got hurt and some things changed in some of the games, we would make the playoffs.
And if we'd have
without
drafted
those guys.
Patrick Mahomes, the Bears would be in a lot better position.
Yes, you would.
And so we should get Cam Newton, and shit, we're going to go into the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs in that one.
How about
there.
Tom?
And then
Yeah. Holy shit. If
then-
ifs and buts were cherries and nuts, we'd all have a merry fucking Christmas.
Well, to be interesting, since we're talking about ownership,
That's
it'll
what
be
I was told a
interesting.
long time ago.
It'll be interesting to see what they do down here in Carolina
Yeah.
with the ownership and what kind of coaches they're going to bring in since they let Rivera go.
Yeah.
Because the guy that
He'd been there for so long.
Yeah, the guy that bought the team has Pittsburgh connections.
Oh, is
Goes
that right?
back to Pittsburgh in some way, shape, or form.
Bill Cowher.
I would not
No?
be.
CJ, well, don't give me that look.
Well, being a,
he
I
has
mean,
been out of the league for over 13 years now, and you think he still has that coaching?
Herm
ability?
Edwards was on the shelf for how long, and now he's freaking coaching Arizona State.
You play to
coaches-
win
The
the
NFL is
game.
a lot
Coaches
different than
are
broken
coaches.
condom
Playoffs.
stale, okay? You
Playoffs?
can't say the
We
same thing
didn't
about.
do diddly poo.
That's Jim Mora. That's not even
I know
Herm.
it's the same thing.
well, I
Joe
don't
Pisarcik
I don't
fumble.
see Cowher going
Herm
to
Edwards
Carolina.
picks it up.
I just don't.
I
I
agree
think
with
he's
you.
too happy
Yeah.
what he's doing. Yeah, he's got
Carolina's
this.
going to look for that flash in the pan.
Yeah,
like you were talking
they're
about.
going to look for like a Lincoln Riley, or they're going to go get somebody else.
You think?
one of these coordinators. Like you look at again.
But I think Riley has a better chance going to Dallas.
I think what happens
If they let him go.
when you look at again, not to bring this back to my Redskins, but you look at Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, you look at Sean
Not to bring
McVay
it back,
in the
but let's
Rams.
bring it back.
No. I mean Sean McVay and Los Angeles with the Rams, and Kyle Shanahan and San Francisco, and none of those three guys who are now leading three of the more prominent
Yeah.
teams in the league,
And they were all Redskin material.
Well, yeah, sure. There's that part, but I mean, they were all coordinators. They weren't these retreads going back trying to get a guy that's been out of the league for 13 years. I think teams more like you were talking about these owners coming in, and I want immediate results. I want something that's going to be sexy. Let me go try to find these coordinators who are young and could be like the face of a franchise. And I think you're right. I think Carolina's probably going to go in that direction more so than trying to find that retread.
Well, what about the Giants? They're in the most profitable market in the country
I think
in
they-
New York.
yeah, and they just got rid of
fired
their guy.
Pat Shermer after his second season. He's only won 9 games.
But they did agree they're keeping the GM.
Gettleman, right?
Yeah, they're going to keep
Yeah.
Gettleman.
Oh man, everyone was calling Gettleman a fucking idiot after drafting Daniel Jones in this whole issue.
He looked pretty good this year, didn't he?
He's
Well,
not
but-
too bad, but
Yeah.
I mean,
still,
he had to be good enough to replace basically an
to
icon.
replace the carry. Yeah.
And to think Eli's got more Super Bowl wins than Peyton does.
Right. Yeah. Same. Is that right?
I think he has 3, doesn't he?
No, they are
Two
the
and two?
same.
They-
They
two-
are
They
two-
the
both have
same.
2?
2-2. One with
Yes,
the
I'm not the
Colts.
only one that got something wrong
One
today.
with the
Yes.
Colts, one with the
All right,
Broncos.
I'll take that one. I'll take that
We
one.
don't expect it from him because he's nicknamed the
professor.
professor.
It was actually just
professor
a,
of math.
It was actually
I
just
see.
a pop quiz, and I passed.
Number 4. Yeah,
Missed that one up.
but New York. I mean, it was one of the jobs that Mike McCarthy wanted last year. Was the Jets job? He didn't get it. It's in the same stadium. It's right across the street. Their offices. Who knows? He might be going to
Yeah,
New
that'd
York
be
Giants.
interesting.
This time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good call right there.
Yeah. So the Giants, though, you have the talent. I really do think you have the talent because Saquon Barkley is once again another generational player
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
especially with the team that he is carrying on his back, who beat the Redskins 2 weeks ago, and I don't know how they did it. I'm sorry to bring it up again, not to bring it back to your Redskins again, but like,
We have the number 2 pick. It's okay.
the
Chase
number
Young.
2 pick. You're going for Chase Young after you drafted Montez Sweat.
Ryan Kerrigan's probably going to.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
But who's Who is else looking for a job? Oh yeah, that's right. I still haven't heard any news on the Cowboys.
Oh, well,
and I'm not surprised.
yeah.
I'm
I
not
hope
fucking surprised.
Jason Garrett for life, as far as I'm concerned. Jason Garrett for life.
Jason Garrett,
Long live
for life.
Jason Garrett.
because he will be there until he dies.
He will be
apparently.
the epitome of mediocrity forever,
Yep.
and I hope that's the case.
When you
See,
score
the-
44 points but don't make it to the playoffs
Yeah.
against the Redskins.
And for the life, I am not a Cowboy fan. But I tell you what, to a certain extent, you got to feel for Cowboy fans this year. The amount of talent and everything else that team had, and not make the playoffs. That means somewhere in that organization, somebody's made a big mistake. And it starts at the top with Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry needs to step away and let somebody else run the show.
No, I'm with Clarence on this one. You beat Arizona and you beat two dog
No, I'm
crap
just saying.
teams
I'm
at
just
the
saying
beginning
on
of the year.
paper. I'm saying on
And
paper.
you're
If you
like,
look at that
Kellen
team
Moore
on
has
paper,
revolutionized this offense and everything. And guess what? You can't beat a good team. You couldn't even score one. You couldn't even score a touchdown against Philly.
See, here's the
Oh
crazy
my
part,
God.
because this segment is talking about who's hot and who's not. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, isn't this your ceiling with this team?
with this coaching, I
You know?
lay you odds. You bring somebody in brand new
Florida just
and
scored
just
again.
But this has been a
Yeah.
couple of years now,
Yeah.
because Ezekiel Elliott was supposed to put you over the top, and there's not been that big addition on the line, defensive line, linebacker, this kind of thing. But is it really that talent that's pushed you over the top? Because you're picking in those in the middle of the
Ezekiel
rounds,
Elliott.
I thought you
Well,
were
but
saying
they-
we
I-
needed to go.
No.
they've got the offensive line. They should be
Yeah.
able to run and
Yeah.
run and run
Yeah.
and run.
I'm going to scoop my cereal and just go home because that's all I do
But
now.
but they don't,
And get first downs.
Go Buckeyes.
and they just don't. For the life
What's
of me,
wrong with your
I can't
eye?
understand that.
Yeah. I love
got
it,
new
though.
glasses
I use it
today,
all.
Well,
by
yeah,
the way.
I know
I
you
get
did.
I get almost as much
I did. I got new
gratification out of a
glasses.
Cowboys loss, like
As
that-
the Redskins win.
Yes. It was so weird watching them beat the shit out of my Redskins, but knowing that the Eagles had taken control of the game over the
Yep.
Giants, and watching the sideline as the announcers are
Jera.
like reporting that the news has gotten down, because they didn't show the Dallas Philly, or excuse me, the Giant Philly score in the stadium. So, of course, everyone today with their phones, they all knew, and as word started getting down to the sideline, and to see these looks of despair where it's like, this is completely empty. We've got 44 points on the board, but it means shit.
It doesn't
and I
mean
had
anything.
I almost got a boner. Just saying. Like, it was awesome. It was awesome.
You think Jera got
Jera,
one?
good job, Jera. Yeah,
Jera.
I saw him getting pissed, like he's like picking up his shit, even though he's got a huge decisive win, and he's like snatching his coat up, and he's heading down to the field to get mad at someone, and I'm just like, yes, we get the number 2 pick. All this was for not for you in this game,
Dude, when you're
and we're gonna
worth
look completely
$6
different.
billion, you can get
Yeah.
pissed at whoever you want to
Well, and
get
that's the thing
pissed
with
at.
Jerry too. The professor was talking about whether or not he needs to relinquish control. How can a man who has all the control give up any of it?
Well, if you want to win,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
Jerry
at the end
hasn't
of the day,
gotten
it comes
where
down
he,
to winning.
he hasn't made $6 billion giving a backseat to anyone.
Yeah.
well, he
that's
did
right.
for a while when Jimmy Johnson coached.
And Jimmy
That was
Johnson
1991,
said,
2,
Yeah.
3, right?
and Jimmy Johnson said, Jera, I can't deal with you,
Look
boy.
here, Jera.
I'm
I'm
done.
gonna go fishing off in the Gulf of Mexico. Make my way onto.
I'm going to go
NFL
down to
today.
Miami and go do
Yeah.
some work somewhere else.
And I'm
Yeah.
going to go make fun of Michael Strahan's buck teeth. I can't. I'm just going to go on Fox Sports. Okay, let's go to hops. We're almost at 2 hours, so let's go to hops.
What?
Yeah,
Holiday special.
Oh, excuse me.
I only got one hop. I'll start us off.
All right.
It's a tragic story that happened on Saturday with the LSU offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Yes.
His daughter-in-law
Ugly shit.
was on a plane ride to
Mine's a little.
the
I got
game.
2 negative. I got 1 negative, 1 good one. Go
Was
ahead.
on a plane ride to the game, and
Yep.
the plane crashed, and there was 5 fatalities, and one of them was the daughter-in-law of the offense coordinator, Coach Ensminger, and I can't for the life of me begin to think like what. I understand that people grieve in different ways, and I think that people don't understand that. That it's like, oh, why are you coaching? Why aren't you there for your family? It's like, guys, everyone grieves in different ways. You have to understand that. Some people grieve by going to work.
Yeah.
By by trying to get that out of your head. But at the end of the day, still, to lose your daughter-in-law, you're thinking about your son. You're thinking about your family, and you're thinking about, I got a coach for a
She was
national
only
championship
30
right
years
now.
old, man.
Yeah, and she was a star in sports in New
In the
Orleans.
making, yeah.
She covered the Saints, the Pelicans. She was a sports
Louisiana
reporter.
sports reporter. Yes,
Yeah.
and it was just such a tragic story to hear about that, especially on the day, just hours before the game. And
Well, and then what's interesting on that flight too, there was a son and a mother. The son was only 15 too. In that crash.
it's such a tragic story, but ESPN, I was tired of seeing them keep putting the camera up to his face and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
please,
Let the guy
stop it.
coach. Yeah.
And then guess what? They asked Joe Burrow after the game. You know what Joe Burrow said? What are you talking about?
Right, he didn't know.
He didn't know anything about it, and ESPN's just breaking the news to him.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me, ESPN? Why are you doing this?
Well, it's all about
That
network
should just
and
be
ratings.
between Coach O and Coach Ensminger.
I think you're right.
It's all about network ratings.
I think
man.
you're right.
You know, want to see that visceral response. Right?
Yeah.
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 But it wasn't a visceral response. It's like, you fucking asshole. Why would you tell me that?
That's pretty visceral.
Why would you tell me that? I don't want to know that. I just want to
Well,
game.
That's visceral.
I just beat
very
In case
Oklahoma
you didn't know, that
Well,
was
and
really
see, and-
visceral when
and
you
you-
go
and you're-
when you call somebody a fucking asshole.
Well, and the
That's
same
what
thing because they
ESPN
jumped
are.
Coach
Cam
O.
Newton to the Bears.
They
Cam
had asked
Newton
Coach O
needs
after
to
the
come
game,
to the
too, about
Bears.
it.
Yeah.
And then he's trying to downplay it.
And he's
we
like,
didn't
please
make.
stop talking to me. We
Yeah.
just beat a team 63-28. You're
Let's talk
trying
about
to
the
talk to
game.
me about death right now. Please stop that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good move.
There is a
on their
time and
part.
place to talk about that, but that is between Coach O and Coach Ensminger to talk about that. But yeah, that was my hop. That was my hop.
All right. Far away, Professor.
Well, I tell you what. If you noticed, nobody's going to see Cats this movie.
Is that out in theater?
It's out in theaters.
Hey, my
They-
brother's wife and his two daughters
No,
went to go see it over Christmas. They were supposed to go, and they asked my brother if he wanted to go, and he was like, "No." And then I asked my mom. I was like, "Mom, didn't you want to go?" And she's like, "No, I didn't want to."
They
Make it
said
cultured, though.
They say that movie is going to lose $100 million.
$100 million.
$100 million because
I wish
nobody
I had
wants to
$100
go
million
see it.
bucks to lose. You think J-Rock could lose $100 million and not think about it?
Wouldn't blink.
How about Danny?
He's always pissed.
But can you imagine to put a movie together in just out of the box? You're going to lose $100 million.
What's wrong with it though? I don't know what's going
They
on.
say that
They're
it's
cats. We need some
well.
dogs.
They say first off, it doesn't follow the actual Broadway musical very closely. They've
which was
changed
huge.
people
Which was
up,
huge. I mean,
and
gazillion
they've done a
dollars.
little GSI work, and it's just. It moves at such a goofy, fast pace that some people get vertigo watching it. And it was panned so badly, nobody wants to go see it. So
shit.
they say it is on tap to lose $100 million.
Wow.
So
Nice.
that's-
I love cats. I got 3 of them myself, but
Yeah, one of them.
But they're not
one of
singing
them
and
is an
dancing
asshole.
across the room.
and they're not worth $100 million. I want to fucking put a shotgun shell through their fucking head before I freaking
So that's the first one I picked up.
$100 million.
What's the
$100
next
million
one?
bucks. The other one, a feel-good story, is there is a young cancer patient here. I forget what town it was, and he wanted his last wish or something to be a cop, and all these cops showed up and gave him rides in police cars and everything else
Nice.
over the holidays. And so that was
man.
pretty and
Good feel-good-
Yeah, they
feel-good
picked him
story.
up to the hospital. He was in for treatment, and they drove him around the block. Everything else, sirens.
Did he
on.
want $100 million too?
No.
No. Oh.
But that was this time of the year is the best time to hear stories like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
100%. Clarence?
I saw Star Wars last night.
Yeah?
And
Look, listen. I know this might be sacrilegious.
You gonna bring it back to the Redskins?
Yes, actually. No, the Buckeyes.
the Buckeyes.
What's wrong with
12
your
gauge
eye? What's wrong
was
with
on
your
the
eye?
Millennium Falcon, and no. And look. Maybe I'm about to say something that's controversial, but I didn't grow up watching Star Wars. Like that just wasn't.
didn't
I wasn't
either.
exposed to that. So I didn't start watching Star Wars till I was an adult. And for my money, and I know this might be sacrilegious, this recent trilogy is better than the previous 2 trilogies. I love a good heroine, and Rey kicks ass. I think the storytelling was amazing.
You like
the special
heroine?
effects, a good
That
heroine
ruins communities.
Yes.
Oh.
That's
That's heroin.
now, and I understand.
I was just in Baltimore last
Heron.
night.
It was Heron.
Heron.
Yeah. So I understand. I understand that it's been getting a lot of flack. I understand that people have been coming at it, pretty hard, and maybe it's because I don't have that, the deep.
She's pretty sexy with her fucking lightsaber, isn't she?
For me, that nostalgia isn't necessarily there. That nostalgia just extends back to like my early 20s. I go see it. I just think that it's really well produced. It's really well told. You come out of it feeling pretty good, and you're like, hell yeah, that's kick ass. Rather than having to contemplate, life and death and these kinds of things. For me, it's a great popcorn movie. I'll certainly buy it and watch it over and over again, and try to introduce it to my kids. I think it was exactly what I look for when I go to these blockbuster kind of movies. You know what I mean? I don't want to come away like contemplating all of the secrets of the galaxy.
Right.
But go check it out.
From an entertainment factor, you give it a 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like 10 is blowing my socks off. I'm gonna go with my buddy Tom. I'm gonna say 8.5.
I'm glad to hear him say that though, because like I haven't watched the past two, but like there are negative people out there, especially when it comes to Game of Thrones. I fucking love Game of Thrones. Man.
Right.
I don't ever want to look back on that series and go, "You ruined this for me."
Because of one
review
episode
coming up right now.
Right. Yeah.
No,
that it's
love
that whole
show.
what is it? Suspended disbelief, where you
go into something saying
you
it's
just
going to
throw
be
your
terrible.
mind into it. John Wick kicks ass. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that out there. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go check it out.
Show.
No, and I got to throw this one out there because the professor and John and I have talked about this several times. 1917 just came out.
Yeah,
and I haven't got to go see it yet.
It's not. It's not coming out. It's not available.
It came out selectively. It comes out in national market. What 24th? January 20th.
January, and maybe in Alamo. And you and I.
Well, they showed a preview for it. Yeah, and I thought they said maybe it was selective.
Dude,
theaters.
You're freaking clearing your calendar. We'll all clear our calendar.
Yeah, we're all
and we're gonna go get freaking hammered and just go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm only half your age. At least take me.
No, son, you're a freaking.
Was he even born?
Boy.
Was he even born in that century?
No, he's a history nut.
I'm just giving you a hard time, CJ.
95.
But barely. What year were you born, CJ?
95.
That's cute. That's cute.
And 95 was a good year. It was the last time the Cowboys were relevant.
All right, so I guess I got kind of three hops.
Any alligators
the first
eating
one,
a meth head this time?
No alligators eating meth head. So I said on the last show we talked about, I mentioned Neil deGrasse Tyson's book Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, and so I've been listening.
How many
to
pages
that.
was it? 3.
Huh?
3 pages long.
No, yeah,
I wouldn't
not in a hurry enough.
No, it's phenomenal. So I've been listening to this section of the book where he talks about the Earth as being round and things like that, and he said if you could have a giant finger, and he goes based on essentially the strength of galaxy or the strength of gravity. That if you had a big enough finger and you wanted to rub your hand across the surface of the Earth, that it would be like rubbing a cue ball in comparison to other bodies in the freaking solar system or in the galaxy. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? He goes, okay, put it this way. He goes, so what is it? Mount Everest is what? I don't know how many.
It's almost 30,000.
Yeah.
Almost 30,000 feet.
Yeah. Well, you go to Mars, and because of the effects of gravity, the tallest freaking mountains on Mars, because of the effects of gravity, are 60,000 feet high, and it's nothing. It doesn't matter whether because of the strength of gravity, our planet can only have as big a mountains as they have. Everest will never be any taller because the effects of gravity will never allow them to be any taller. And that if you were to have a finger and you were to rub it across the surface of the Earth compared to other celestial bodies, it'd be like rubbing a cue ball. There would be no discernible effects. It'd be smooth.
That, you know what that reminds me of? You remember in Animal House where they're sitting in the toilet smoking weed, and he goes, "Man, that's like a whole universe in my fingertip." That's what it said.
It's funny you just said that because I was sitting here like John. I'm going to borrow his commentary from earlier. I'm pretty sure he just.
You mean there's a whole universe in my fingertip?
Oh, wait a minute.
Can I buy weed from you?
Wait a minute.
You should be
You
disconcerted.
just
there,
spit
CJ.
on the mic.
I had to get my.
They
bong.
took the bar.
They took
The whole fucking bar.
Yeah, that reminded me from Animal.
Oh,
yeah.
The whole universe of my favorite.
And so I've been listening to this book. I walk in the mornings, and this morning I did almost three. I did 3.4 miles this morning
Yeah.
at 5 a.m. I was listening to Neil's. I was listening
Like a
to
15-year-old Swedish boy named Sven.
yeah. So I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about the shape of the Earth being so fucking, when you compare it to the rest of the world or the rest of the galaxy, how freaking minuscule we are. And he goes through the entire periodic table, and it's very impressive. And it's the book is about 4 hours long audio, and I just keep replaying shit sections.
Oh, wow.
And I thoroughly enjoy it.
All right, what's the other two?
Sorry.
One too
Sorry.
many.
This one I
That's what
didn't
I
want to
said
go.
last
I didn't want to get political, but there was a guy who was getting ready to shoot up a church,
Yep.
and a church member security guard stood up and
He
went.
actually did. He actually did.
He actually
killed two.
did kill one.
Yeah, but
Killed
this
two.
he could have freaking killed him.
I saw the video of
because
that.
he got reloaded, but they fucking capped his shit and put him down.
I've seen it. Yeah.
I don't want to get political, but good guys stand tall, and good guys do the right thing and put the bad guy down.
To play the devil's advocate, what a shame to think that you have to carry in a place of worship, as we saw.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
attacks
yeah,
on
no shit.
The two
Well, it-
Jewish
crazy.
establishments.
They have
It's the
that
same
wall
story
ready
now
to
about
go.
any kind of public place now.
It's Wild West, right?
Well, it's school. I mean, at all these places you would think you shouldn't have to.
Right.
We've gotten to a position.
Nothing
you
sacred
have to.
anymore, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
it.
And my other one, I had it on my phone, and fuck, I can't fucking find it.
Spent too long talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. If you don't
You know, the
fucking
Earth's
listen
like
to
a
him,
cue ball.
you're a
It's
fucking
moved.
loser.
You know, and
You're a
Mars.
The effects of gravity.
Oh, the other one is Caesar's Casino, and it's having to do with Canadians. The guy go yeah.
Their
take off your
bacon
hoser.
isn't bacon.
Take off your hoser.
Their bacon isn't bacon. It's fucking ham.
It's not. So this guy is fucking suing Caesars because he's a compulsive gambler. Spent $200,000 in losing, and the freaking casino didn't stop him from spending fucking money. So he's suing them
Time out,
because
time
he's
out, time out.
yeah,
$200,000.
$230,000.
You think he would have stopped after?
Listen,
I
I
don't
just
know.
watched Vegas Vacation, National
no,
Lampoon's
so
Vegas
check that.
Vacation.
Oh yes, now you know.
Clark
He
only
spent-
lost $22,000. So what is
So
this
this
guy
guy-
doing?
gotten
well,
to
here's the
6
thing.
digits.
He said he lost 260 grand during 2 visits, saying
my
he
God.
should have never been allowed to place wagers in the first place. He's a compulsive gambler and alcoholic, and the casino took his money, and he's suing them because he lost all that fucking money.
That'll be really
To
interesting
quote
to see.
Vegas Vacation, what can I do with $5? Buy a bullet and rent a gun.
Right. That's delivered by the guy from Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, what's his name?
It's Bush.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable. That's
funny.
going to be
It's
really
Bush.
interesting to see what comes of that. Because in this litigious world where you can sue for just about
It's
everything,
Canada.
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
The world,
It doesn't matter.
it's going to be interesting to see what comes of this.
Yeah, they take
out
him
of
out.
curiosity. Know where the casino is located? I wonder if it's on a reserve.
No, it wasn't. It's in Canada.
Well, if
Canada
it's
has
Caesar's
reserves.
Palace, it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be on a reserve.
No,
It's
it's
Caesar's.
Caesar's Windsor in Ontario.
That's across the river from Detroit.
He made visits in October, and they should have been aware that he had been banned from other casinos for disruptive behavior.
But he only lost $200,000 at that one
$250,000.
casino.
Yeah, he has also
260?
visits.
yeah.
I don't even make 260 in 3 years.
My whole life.
No.
I don't know. I can't do the math.
It's been. I mean, I'd have to really do some math to figure out if I'm 260 grand.
Right.
He's asking for gambling losses and an additional $500,000 in punitive damages.
Of course, and it has to pay for rehab.
Right.
He's going to pay for rehab
and court costs.
and court costs, and the attorney's going to get 10% off the top.
Yeah, so this
I'm gonna have
jackass
to try to
thinks
follow
he's going to
that.
freaking.
I'm gonna have to try to follow that. I'm really curious to see how that comes out because man, this could open Pandora's box for every degenerate ever, right? You know, like you've ever taken a bad
Dude,
day.
I'm suing Bud Light for all the freaking beers I've had to drink. And
You guys have anything else?
so that was my hops of the week, brother.
That was a good time.
Yeah,
Over 2 hours.
Yes.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Holiday
Holiday special,
special.
y'all are welcome.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Holy shit, over 2 hours.
You got to
I'm
break this
sorry.
down into segments. That's all that means.
I guess so, yeah.
No,
But it's-
bullshit. We'll put this up there.
No, I know. I got
It'll
you.
take like 25 minutes to download. But
No, with my internet.
Thank you for all joining us again.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you,
Yes.
Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clarence, once
sir.
again.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Come up with
yeah.
a better name for yourself.
And
though.
I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on that.
of course, the
And
man
Tommy
in the back.
Byer.
Yeah, Tommy Byer.
Yeah, Tommy. Hey, dog, settle down. Damn it. Yeah. Hold still. Damn dogs are going crazy.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve. Stay sober out there. It is a dangerous night. And we hope you have a good... What's that?
Overrated. Sorry.
I'll be asleep by 10.
I'm not
And we
going
hope
anywhere
you
tomorrow.
have...
Neither am I. I'm not going anywhere.
Hope you have a
CJ
good-
going anywhere?
No.
You're not?
No.
Oh, that's right. Your friends are coming over tonight. And I told you, don't make them son of bitches wake me up because
No,
I'll be
I won't.
asleep before I get to freaking midnight. My ass
Hope
will
you
be
have
asleep.
a good New Year's. Hope you have a good 2020 start. No more 2020 vision, so we'll see you next year. But as always, guys,
I don't
peace.
have 20/20 vision. I got to fucking get new glasses.
As always, guys, peace out.
Hey.
Thank you.